Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you the Tottenham Fan Show. So everybody that has memberships, make sure you click on the link, get in here and have your say. Today, we'll be talking a bit about the Fabio Paratici investigation. And we want you guys to come on and share your thoughts. And also you guys in the chat, share your thoughts. But Jackal, how are you keeping, man? It's good to be back doing these.
Good to be back doing the fan show. Good to be back catching up with the Harris Army. One of our favorite topics, Dave, as the Paratici twins, we will be discussing some of this investigation surrounding him. We can't really make much sense of it, and people will have sort of maybe their speculations about it. Maybe some people might think it's kind of just maybe a whole lot of nothing. Whatever you might think about it, it is definitely a bit of Spurs news, and it's good to have a bit of kind of obscure sort of Spurs news over this World Cup, some real things, let's say, to sort of talk about right now. And so I think that's what this fan show is truly for. So everybody, if you want to come on and have your say, feel free. Got plenty in the queue already. Plenty of people want to catch up with us and have their say and want to talk maybe about Paratici. Also probably talk about a few Spurs players, maybe a certain Richie that had a great goal today, Dave. Looked like a true number 9, a couple of juggles off the head, nice left-footed finish, looking absolutely gorgeous for Charleston was. Plenty of good things to talk about. So yeah, Dave, looking forward to catching up with the fan show here.
No, there's a lot to talk about. Now, look, with the Paratici investigation, it's, I'll be honest, there's a lot coming out, but basically the nuts and the bolts of it is the Italian government authority responsible for regulating the Italian stock market, Consob, are investigating claims that members of the Juventus first team squad were paid off the books during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, basically what's going on here is that the players signed some sort of agreement that they would, in the press, it looked like one thing that they were going to give up their wages, but really behind the doors, they weren't giving up any and it being played below the table. Now, where it comes from is basically that Juventus cut their books to make it, to balance them out, but then we're giving people handouts under the table like their players. And basically, they're pinning absolutely everything on Paratici. They're saying he cooked up to the scheme. They've also come out since then saying he's inflated the transfer market and the prices that Juventus were paying for players, which I'll get on to in a minute. But basically, everyone's blaming Paratici, but Nedved has resigned. Agnelli has resigned, which hopefully that means the end of the Super League as well. No wonder why the guy was pushing so hard for it, since their financials have started to come out and stuff like that. But also the players, like I think it's the prosecutor. I think he's looking. I think the decision with the judge will be made on Wednesday. But basically, the Turin prosecutor is looking to bring this to court. I think he already looked to bring something to court before and it was quashed. But everyone's making it look like Paratici. But you've got Ronaldo, you've got Chiellini, you've got 17, 18 players there that still got paid under the table. And where the crime comes into as well is no one's paid tax on it. Absolutely nobody. So it's not just Paratici that's implicated in it. It's the Juventus squad. It's like Nelly, Nedved. They knew all about it. But since then, they're coming out crying, saying that Juve paid too much for Chiesa. They paid too much for Kulusevski. They're blaming him for wasting all this money at Juve, this, that, and the other. Well, he brought them trophies with the money that he spent at the end of the day. And it just looks like to me that they're trying to pin everything on this guy and scapegoat him. But there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. It's not all Paratici, which is what they want you to believe, Jack.
No, it makes sense though that they would sort of pin it on a guy that, let's say, is doing fine at another club, sort of has his mind elsewhere, maybe even thinks he may have left that all behind, and while all the attention is on them, while he sort of maybe left that sort of burning dumpster fire, which is sort of Juventus, they're kind of going to pin it on him to sort of maybe take a bit of pressure off them, put it on somebody that is maybe away from the scene at the moment, somebody that isn't, let's say, attached to the club anymore, and also because it sort of, let's say, takes pressure off them, but maybe it is some sort of good alibi for them to think that, oh, he ran away maybe as this was all happening, and it just, I don't know, and I'm not really going to put it past a board that has all resigned at once, knowing that it basically is all crashing and burning for them, Dave. And without a doubt, I mean, he's certainly, Dave, I think Paratici is in some way implicated and is in some way involved. That is the essence of him being a Don in the first place, is that not only does he cook the transfers, but he's also going to cook the books a little bit as well to help his club in order to get the transfers. It's all part of the name. It's all part of the title, I think, in good fun. But for me, I think Paratici, I really, really doubt he was some sort of mastermind behind this, especially considering maybe the Agnelli sort of a reputation that maybe he has as a business owner, maybe with Fiat and other companies. It just seems like Agnelli, I would reckon, maybe is the guy that really has been overseeing everything and is really the one that's probably just trying to deflect a bit of blame here, Dave.
That's what it seems like to me, Jack. Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then I think they're also going to be coming under investigation by UEFA for overspending in Paratici's time there as well. But again, like they're blaming Paratici to stand the other, but they weren't moaning when they were lifting the Serie A, lifting some domestic trophies as well, Jack. So look, for me, it's all well and good just blaming everything on Paratici, but there's a lot more that meets the eye, and the fact that the board has all resigned just goes to show that they're a guilty party in this as well. They can blame everything on Paratici, but it's not all on him. But look, let's see who's in here to join us, Jacko. We have Duncan Ratbar. Much love, Irish Hotspur Army. Big up, Duncan. Good to see you, brother. We have Tricky Ones. As Paratici's doing a great job, we can't afford to lose him, in my opinion. Look, that's another thing I want to know off everybody. Is Paratici doing a good job? Because as the second part of the Paratici twins, I mean, I actually think that he's done a decent job, but that's just my point of view. If you don't think he has, don't be afraid to come on and tell me why.
Exactly.
Or tell myself and Jack why. Because maybe there's things we're missing that we're overlooking and stuff like that. Big up, Ryan. Good to see you, my man. Great to see you. Got Georgia Hill says, evening, Dave and Jack. The Don has brought in quality players to Spurs while sending out much of the dross. Hasn't found permanent solutions for all of them, but was never going to be easy. Well, on that as well, I mean, I'll be honest, I actually couldn't care what's going on at Juventus. I really don't give a shit. Do I think this has gone on at Tottenham? I don't think so. I don't think someone like Daniel Levy would allow that, to be honest with you. I think he'd want everything all above board. So for me, look, I'll always be grateful. No matter what happens, even if he gets prosecuted, whatever, and he has to lose his job at Tottenham, I'll still be grateful because I'm not sitting there watching Winks and the fat ass, the shit show, the list goes on. Aurier, the way he ripped up his contract, I mean, I felt like having a party just for that alone. I think I felt like making it national get rid of Aurier Day. Brilliant. But big up Georgie Hill. He also says, undoing damage, the damage Hitchin inflicted on this club would never be a quick fix, regardless of the results of the allegation. I think Paratici, for all he did, just was the Don cooking. Now, Jack, I just want to ask you one more thing, man, before we keep welcoming more people in, is why does Paratici get scrutinised a lot more at Tottenham for his position than what Steve Hitchin ever did?
There's likely the aspect that when sort of Paratici was taking over, we kind of knew we were entering maybe a real down spiral, right? Where we were in the Conference League, Dave, with the likes of Nuno, and we knew that there wasn't really going to be much of a hope left with Spurs, especially with the lack of a manager signing, with really any sort of lack of a future, it looked like. And Paratici was kind of the new big dog, kind of brought into the club. There was kind of a big sort of, you could say, a celebration around him, especially from us, because that's what we thought we kind of needed, was to get rid of Hitchin and bring in somebody new. But I think with that then probably came a bit more kind of let's say, pressure and maybe a bit more microscope kind of attention on the director of football. Whereas maybe in the past, we sort of, as Spurs fans, kind of ignored maybe the director of football and didn't really look at kind of what sort of impact it really had on the signings, or even what sort of impact they had on the choosing of the players. Whereas now, since Paratici has come in, he's probably come with him maybe a bit more scrutiny, since he's kind of made such a big entrance, you could say, kind of into the football club, is how I would put it, Dave. Maybe his entrance kind of came with a bit more scrutiny than perhaps past directors of football like Steve Hitchin or even Paul Mitchell had.
Yeah. I think you raised a good point there, Jack.
Because let's say he did come in with a bang. He came in with the videos, and that's something also the rest of the directors of football didn't even do, are these kind of videos that talking about what he's done and what he is doing, what the future looks like, etc. Like those kind of sort of what you would call even his own sort of propaganda videos that are absolutely brilliant that he puts out there, I think, for the club. I actually really enjoyed those kind of questions that he takes and kind of those kind of one-on-one interviews that he does. But I think all of that, Dave, maybe all that attention maybe he draw kind of towards himself probably then comes with maybe more scrutiny than other manager or directors of football had.
100%. And it's a bit like what Ribsy says here. He says because he's visible, which I do want him to expand on when he comes on. But the fact that he did spend so much time around the squad, in and around match day and everything else to get rid of all the shitheads, I think definitely probably puts more scrutiny on him as well. I think that's a very, very good point there. Welsh Gal, good to see you. Big up yourselves, Dave and Jack. The Itches did well. Greetings to the Harris Army. Big up, Welsh Gal. Jack, the Itches, Croatia. I told you before the tournament, the mighty old dogs, they just know how to get the job done.
It was a really good tactical battle, I think, between them and the Japan team, Welsh Gal. I thought Japan were really probably causing them problems in a lot of ways with how much they were able to kind of make that midfield work. I think Kovacic, Modric, Brozovic, they can kind of feel like they can sort of probably pass teams to death, just sort of run shows no matter what. And Japan kind of made them turn it over a few times, made them get a bit sloppy. And you could even tell that Modric actually probably had to be taken off because he was sort of run to death in that game. And it was a good battle between the two. I think everybody knew it was going to be a good battle. But in my prediction video on Flatcap, Welsh Gal, I said that the Itches, I think a lot of people probably doubt that the skill that they will have probably in those kind of final minutes in extra time. And I think that came true there. Absolutely right. Good to see them in penalties, though. And I would say when it comes to penalty teams, it's pretty much any team, but I don't know what really happened with Japan. It was kind of two really, really dreadful penalties, if you ask me. Like ones that I kind of thought like the keeper could have even dove to the wrong side, got up, and then still would have been able to save the penalty on the other side. It really was some poor penalties.
Yeah, they were very, very poor. But my guy at Celtic had a very good game, Jaco Maeda. Very good game, very energetic. He had a very good game today. But yeah, the penalties were absolutely shocking. But Livakovic, the Zagreb keeper, Jack, he's been around for a while. People have known about him, but I wonder will he get a move now after this. Adrian Straka says, good evening, all. Big up, Adrian. Great to see you. We also have Alpesh Patel. Evening, all. Sonny will now get a rest and recuperate on his facial injury. Yeah, it would be nice now to see him get a bit of a rest, recuperate, and hopefully he can be ready for the Boxing Day fixtures where we go again. The second half of the season kicks off. I cannot wait. Chris Agabar says, big up, lads. Big up, Chrissy boy. I hope you're keeping well. Bottle FC says, Sonny Poor still out of form. Brad Matthew says, good evening, everyone. Quite weekend day. United Spurs of America, big up, Jacob. I hope you're keeping well, brother. Good to see you, my man. Cockeyed, good to see you, Stevie. He says, evening, wonderful people, and the rest of us. Mia says, good evening. Nice to see all the Tottenham family. Big up, Mia. Great to see you. Neil Shatton says, how the hell is everyone? How about Richarlison, number 9 today? I mean, he had a good game. He took his goal very, very well as well. And a nice bit of skill to, hold up the ball. What was it? 3 headers, a little solo, a 1-2 giving goal, then tidy finish. It was a very good goal. He played well today, to be fair. And look, this is what I wanted him at the club in the first place, because for me, he's an out-and-out striker. And look, if we can get a player in the forward areas after we've addressed centre-back, and that means hopefully then we can use Richarlison in for me, what I think is his best position, Jacko.
Yeah, and even I'll put it kind of to even a Premier League scenario where I think it was that game where Man United were playing the likes of Fulham, and I think it was the last game even before the World Cup. Fulham were actually without Mitrovic, I think, on the day due to injury before the World Cup and everything. And so they had to play the one and only Carlos Vinicius, Dave, and he was absolutely woeful, I thought, against Man United. They had a lot of good service for him, but he really couldn't do much with it. Whereas you kind of think with Spurs, maybe in the past, let's say if we were in that scenario against Man United, maybe Kane had an ankle injury that we had to sit him out for or some kind of scenario like that. If we had to play Carlos Vinicius, we probably would have kind of suffered the same result where really good service into the striker, just not really enough quality there to actually beat a team like that. Whereas now we have a guy like Richarlison that we can play instead and just see him be able to juggle it off his head, play a 1-2 and be able to score a goal like that. It's just something that I think people have been crying out for, Dave, to have a number 9 that we can actually be confident in, especially in case Kane is hurt, or also if we want to match him on top with Kane.
And as well, Gabriel Jesus picking up a nice injury as well, out for 3 months. It's good for Richarlison because it means he's going to play the rest of our Cup up front for Brazil. And it also means that hopefully Arsenal will take a hit. We'll see how good they really are when they put Nketiah back up front. We've got Martin Walton. Good to see you, my man. He says, evening, lads. King Huddle is back. He says, Paratici, don't bend over to pick up the soap. Who else have we got in here? We'll take more comments. We've got Alpesh Patel says Spurs would have reacted already if Paratici was in the wrong. This is the Italian investigation till UEFA gets involved. And Cockeyed Steve says, to be fair, the Italian government are as bent as the rest of them. Well, look, all I will say, it's not like Juventus haven't been involved in scandals before. Remember that match fixing scandal? But yeah, let's blame Paratici for everything. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. But like I said, we will know more Wednesday. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. We have Jason Bell back with us. He says, I got to admit, I sure got suspicious of Paratici when I heard market values of Gill and Emerson and how much we spent. Look, Paratici doesn't set the price on a player. The selling club sets that price. Everyone says at Tottenham, if Tottenham want to play, go and pay that price. Well, look, just because it hasn't worked out, yeah, you could say we've overpaid, but at the end of the day, to say that Paratici sets the prices is crazy, Jack, no?
I don't know.
But as far as I understand, the selling club sets the price. They're the ones that are like, well, I don't really want to sell my assets, so okay, give me 25 million,
I feel like, again, though, this kind of goes back to the scrutiny and the microscope that Paratici is sort of under. Like, I think we can totally accept that with Bryan Hill and with Emerson, he overpaid, and a lot of people aren't happy with those players, especially probably in the case of more so maybe Bryan Hill kind of maybe resurged a little bit with some Spurs fans, but both players aren't, let's say, the most popular with Spurs fans. And also the price of those players, really, a lot of people do point to. But if we're going to kind of look at those prices of those players, Dave, and kind of look at it in that sort of scrutiny, I think then we can sort of then with that sort of in mind, go back and look at Hitchin, go back and look at Paul Mitchell and see the ones, the players that they spent similar amounts of money on. You look at like a certain Steven Bergfijn, you look at a certain Tanguy Ndombele, you look at a certain Davinson Sanchez, Joe Rodon, Matt Doherty, who was probably, I think with Matt Doherty, we only really spent like 9 million less or something than Emerson. So I don't know. It is kind of, it is sort of, if you're going to scrutinize Paratici for those sort of kind of transfers and those sort of signings, I think you're then welcome to look back at the rest of the directors of football that Spurs have had. And I think you'll probably find out quite quickly that gets a lot uglier if you look at the other directors of football.
And look, Paratici hasn't got everything right, but every director of football doesn't get everything right. I mean, it was Paul Mitchell. Was it Paul Mitchell? I could be wrong. Clinton NG and Kudu. I mean, I would say we overpaid on them because no one ever heard of them. I think we still spent 10 million on one of them. So, every director of football is going to have that. But where I come from with Paratici, I think he's got a lot more right than what he's got wrong in my opinion. But I think you're definitely right there, Jacko. I think that is you're gonna this is the thing. Okay, Emerson and Gill, but like, what about all of the shit? All of the shit that Steve Hitchin bought here. I just don't understand how the guy, I don't know. Anyway, Def Trek says he's done a good job. It's a process. Yeah, I would think along the lines of that, my man. Aaron Walden says Juve were obviously cooking the transfer fees for years, but as Paratici was caught saying there's no real way to accurately judge what a player is truly worth. Fair fight. Fair point. Big up, Phil. Great to see you, my man. I hope you're keeping well, brother. Big yourself up.
Legend.
Got Mary W says, good job so far. Big up, Mary. Great to see you. Plus, I got Dermatron. Great to see you, my man. Tequila 316 says, big up, lads. Big up, Tequila. Good to see you. King Huddle, I don't know if you've changed the color or whatever else, but you were on a grey. Now you're on a lovely blush purple. So it could be someone impostering you, maybe. I'm not too sure, King Huddle. And Davenport says, hey, Dave and Jack, I think Paratici is a better sporting director than Franco Baldini. And let's see what happens in the January window. Big up, my man. Good to see you, Danny Boy. Got Frank Lass says, where there is big money, there is dodgy shit in grey areas. Yeah, 100%. THFC Brown says, big up, lads. Sun was terrible at the World Cup. Yeah, I don't think he had a great World Cup myself, personally, to be honest. Mick Armnox says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Big up, Mick. Great to see you. Great to see you, Foggy. Guys, need those performances for Richie at N17. Kieran also says, Richie showing us that he's no doubt a striker. And we have a couple more there that we're going to welcome in, and then we will crack on. Actually, I've got a quick picture I want to share, but it's class. Everyone's going to absolutely love it. Got Mr. Edwards who says, come on, England with the World Cup. Quit bending the needle. Look. Come on, my man. And we're not here for politics or anything like that. We're here to talk football, brother. Here to talk football. Caveman says, OOG, your top mafioso didn't go to jail. If Don Paratici big whoop. Not a bad response. Not a bad response,
That's what I
my man.
said. It's all part of the title. I mean, he has to earn the Don title, and in order to earn the Don title, he needs to be accused of these sort of these sort of crimes. It all goes with the title. It all goes with the name, and I think Caveman understands that too here, Dave. It's all part of the name.
It's
You're
all
not a
part
goody
of the
two
game,
shoes if
exactly.
you're a Don, Dave. You're not a goody two shoes if you're a Don. You got to cook the books every once in a while.
Love it. Love it. Kay, big up, Kay. Good to see you. Says Don Paratici would deliver it in January. My words. I mean, Jack, I was the master last January transfer window. I called it exactly. What's your thoughts? What's your prediction for this January, Jacko?
Well, he only really, again, this is so funny. The guy has so much attention drawn to him, and he's really only been here so long. He's only had one January transfer window to work with, Dave, and I think he hit it with flying colors in the first time. We'll see if he can do it again this time around. Brought in the likes of Kulusevski. Most, I think, Spurs fans kind of new favorite kind of young player in the squad, kind of even, let's say, the future Spurs in kind of a lot of ways as well. Like we kind of did need somebody to kind of look to kind of in the kind of younger kind of areas that could be kind of a new kind of future for Spurs. And I think Kulusevski certainly is that one. Bentancur is basically everybody's new favorite midfielder and kind of the new stylish midfielder that everybody's been asking for kind of since Moussa Dembele, Dave. And I think we're all kind of satisfied in that. He delivered that all in one January window, I think for less than, what was it, like 50 million or less than 40 million or something like that. So I think we can all be rest assured, or at least be pretty confident that if he's given the right sort of funds in January, he can deliver.
Gonna be a bit controversial here, but I don't mind. You know me, I'm always in the center of controversy around here. But look, for me, I know everyone's looking at right wing back, right? But for me, I'll be honest, I want two centre backs in here. I'll take one just as long as it eliminates Dyer out of the first 11. Does not resolve all our problems, because there will be a point where the guy will have to return into the lineup, but it will, I think, make our life a little bit easier. But I also want another player in the forward areas, because if Kulusevski goes injured, we've seen the problems we have without him. So, and Lucas Moura, I don't trust, because he already states he wants to go. He's finishing up his contract and he's out here. He's going home to Brazil. Is his heart in it between now and the end of the season if you give him minutes? I'm not so sure, if I'm being brutally honest. And I think we'll have enough at right wing back just to see us through to the end of the season. If to be honest, I don't think it's as cost. It's not costly. It's not costing us points. It's not costing us goals. Where it is not helping us is going forward. But I think we've got enough class players to kind of score goals. As we see, scoring goals is not a problem. Keeping them out is. So for me, I just want to concentrate on them centre back issues and maybe one more in the forward area and address right wing back in the summer. That's how I would go about it. But big up, Kay. Really appreciate the support, my man. Really great comment, my man. You got my Jack and myself and Jack's juices flowing. Big yourself up. Take a few more and we'll crack on. Sammy Spurs says neither Gil or Rael were in the price level of Ndombele or the Celso. Very good point, my man. Very good point, Sammy Spur. R Green 216 says 6. My bad. Slip of the tongue. He says, evening, chaps. Big up, my man. Great to see you in here. Now, I've got a very good picture to show everybody. Jack, I know you're going to appreciate this. Just give me 1 second. Here we go now. Where is it? Paddy Higgins. He's a good guy, this Paddy Higgins guy. So basically, I asked him last night to turn the Wolf of Wall Street, Jack, with Paratici on the front. So now Paratici is the Wolf of White Hart Lane. It's an absolute epic, I think. It really suits his personality. So Paratici, if you're watching, just get in contact, my man. We're doing all this for free at the minute, but feel free to help us out, my man. Big yourself up, Paratici. I know you're going to enjoy that. But Jacko, suppose we'll probably crack on.
Yeah, if anything, though, in that photo, you would think in the real actuality, it's Agnelli who should be in the front, and then Paratici is just one of those guys in the background going crazy. And Paratici, they've decided to make the face of it all. It really is quite shameful. Absolute class work from Patty there. Absolute class work.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I am going to make it my my screensaver. I love it that much. But big up, Paddy Higgins. Really appreciate it. But look, let's crack on.
Also, quickly, Dave, Dermot just gifted a membership to the Cockeyed TV Golden as well. And let's see, Stevie, if he can pop on in and have your say. If not, feel free to come on when the games are coming thick and fast, right when we get back into them, come Boxing Day and all that good stuff. Stevie, feel free to come on and have your say, my man. But Dermot just gifted you a membership, my friend.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're going to start getting on guests, but big up Dermo, Stevie. Make sure you make use of that. Get on here and have your say, my man. But everybody, we're all a bit out of touch right now. So, look, even me with my usage of StreamYard and everything else. But, guys, make sure you smash that like button. Absolutely really helps us out. If you're new, feel free to smash that subscribe button or judge us on a week's worth of content and see what your thoughts are at the end of that week. And feel free to help support everything myself and Jack are doing. We're going to be back regularly between now and the second half of the season. Going to be plenty of content coming your way now that all the group games of the World Cup are out the way and everything else. And we refreshed as well. So, guys, feel free to get your super chats in and help support the channel. But as usual, as part of the deal, we will always bring up your comments. So keep getting them in, get your thoughts in, and get your questions in. And we'll also try and pose some of them to the guests as we go along. But, Jacko, where are we starting today, lad?
I think we're starting with Brad, Dave. It's been a long time since we've had Brad on.
Let's get him on. Guitar Strings, I called him on the quiz on Dermo's channel. He actually pitched it, to be fair. He had a great quiz. Brad, my man, how are you keeping?
Oh, good, thanks, guys. Good, thanks. It's all topsy-turvy, isn't it? It's like, going to the pub to watch the World Cup and it's freezing bloody cold. and thinking I'm sort of thinking it's like pre-season at the moment. And even on this show, you're in different positions. David, you're normally on the left to me, and Jack's normally on the right.
This was what's weird, though, Brad, is Dave has somehow insisted. Maybe I can hear someone have me on in the background.
Yeah.
All right. I was gonna say, I feel like Dave, has insisted that I kind of go over to the left. Maybe he somehow found a bit better form on the right-hand side. Maybe he thinks he speaks better from the right-hand side. But I agree with you, because I thought he kind of pulled a fast one on me there, and fast one on all of us, thinking we wouldn't notice. But I agree, and I'm glad you pointed this out. Some people have also noticed that.
No, do you know what it is? I'm always in second because I'm never on time, Jacko. That's why I always end up over that side.
Well, it's not like it's Ant and Dec, is it? Which one's which. So
my timekeeping is absolutely atrocious, Brad. It's really bad. It's something I have to work on. I'll wait for Lent to come round and I'll work on my timekeeping over Lent. But Brad, I mean, the Paratici investigation, my man, let's kick it off. What's your thoughts on it? What's your understandings of it?
Well,
how do you think it'll affect Tottenham going forward?
I must admit, I didn't pay a lot of attention to what's been going on the last week. So I sort of caught up on it a bit today. I thought you summed it up pretty well. It does seem like it's like, well, he's not at the club anymore, let's blame someone. But when you have allegations of him losing them £700 million and all the shareholders, it's like, well, really? It's a bit. I don't know. It's a bit. I think if you want to look at it, if you want to look on a tangent, you would like to think that Daniel Levy, when he interviewed him or when he was looking at employing him, actually did a little bit of checking up on him. Anything's in the closet, that sort of stuff. So then you think, well, if Paratici does get done for whatever and it puts the club in a bad name, etc., 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 then Daniel Levy's got to be part of the blame, isn't he? Because he's the guy who employed him. Then you look at the other thing, that if it does come out that he's done something sort of wrong, not saying he has, but if it did come out, then you probably would see Daniel Levy probably sacking him. So it's brought up a lot of things. I'm just hoping it's. You're right when you said about Juventus. I mean, weren't they relegated 2 divisions for irregularities?
I think they were relegated to like Serie A 4 or something. Yeah. What division for match fixing?
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, there's all these accusations about valuing their assets more than what they were. That goes on everywhere. Rupert Murdoch got done for that. One of the richest men in the world. So it's. I guess we'll know tomorrow, because as far as I'm aware, the prosecutor wanted it to get before trial, and I said no, there's nothing we couldn't. There's not enough evidence. Although I think this one is basically, it's not only Paratici, it's 12 of them that they're looking at.
Well, this one there's a lot of evidence, Brad.
Yeah, they've got a lot of photos, haven't they? Yeah.
Give me 1 second, I'll update people what the evidence are. But Claude Murphy, I'm sorry, my man, but big up Claude Murphy. Great.
Come on, Claude. Big up, my man.
Gio Isaac, great to see you. Hotspur 82, great to see you as well. Anyone, if I've missed you, hold me and Jack accountable, mainly me. Hold me accountable, and we will get you in here. But basically, they have some wiretaps of conversations. They also have some linked WhatsApp group messages, and there's also a document that Ronaldo signed to the payments. Basically, they asked him to answer it, and he just basically refused. And then they have the WhatsApp groups from,
I mean,
I think it was Chiellini, basically describing what was going on. So there is a lot of evidence there, to be fair.
But with things like tax evasion, well, you can't lay that on Paratici's door because, as far as I'm aware, he's not an accountant. He's not a tax accountant. So, tax evasion is normally done with advice from tax accountants saying, "Oh, if you do this sort of thing." So I don't know. It just seems a bit weird. I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next few days. But Italian football, Italian politics is not exactly the most sanest thing in the world, is it? So.
No,
So yeah, it's very interesting.
He's also a fan of the earphone kind of one like this, I believe, Paratici, when doing those phone calls. So maybe they actually physically did wiretap him, maybe almost kind of behind, like back in the day, behind the Iron Curtain kind of sort of stuff. Who knows? Someone snuck in, to Paratici's office, put a bug inside the earpiece. That would have been brilliant.
But then they just counter Susan then.
Here's a question that I'm not sure has been asked though, maybe yet though, Brad, and I'd be curious what you think is, do you think someone like Daniel Levy kind of maybe does his homework on someone like a Paratici? Would he have maybe kind of smelled out this sort of kind of corruption or all these sort of kind of accusations around Paratici ahead of time? Would he have maybe seen some of these dodgy dealings and thought maybe not for me? And so is that maybe a bit of solace there?
Yeah, I would. I'd side on that. Go on that side more than say that Levy would have done his homework. He seems to me to be, no matter what everyone thinks of him, he seems to be quite squeaky clean and so you'd hope to think that he would have done that. The only thing that does worry me is that he's a bit of a fanboy. I mean, he's a fanboy of Mourinho, and no matter what we thought of Mourinho and not being backed by the board man, Mourinho was probably past his sell-back date when we employed him. So he does seem to go on this, and Paratici, he's always been wanting to get Paratici in. So
that's true.
So you do wonder whether there might be that to it. But the other thing about Paratici is he's not only there to get players, and he's there to completely change the whole network, the whole scouting network, and all these various people that have been brought in. So it's not just getting the best sort of deals for players. It's actually changing the whole sort of structure of our network, our scouting network. So it's a difficult one.
What do you make of the job Paratici has done? And I'm not focusing like obviously you have to take into account the players that he's got rid of, the signings that he's brought in here, but also the restructuring of the youth development, the backroom teams, also the scouting network, because he's essentially been handed the keys to completely restructure and rebuild the whole football inside of Tottenham. What do you think of the job he's done so far into his tenure, Brad?
Well, I guess with the restructuring of the whole network, we won't know. That's going to be a work in progress because that's only really just started. On the players, we've got a few duffers in, but you've got to look at the three players that he has brought in, Romario, Bentancur and Kulusevski, and what they've done at the club. And I don't think the transfer window, I think the quality of players we've got in the transfer window weren't as bad as everyone seems to be saying that they are. So, I've got no problems with the players we got in during that transfer window. And the irony being is that, Richarlison is saying, he's not worth 60 million. He's probably worth more than that now after his performances in the World Cup. So, and you look at, if you look at the World Cup, I was very encouraging that you could argue that Uruguay's best player was Bentancur. Richarlison had a great World Cup. Paratici has done some good stuff, So the players he's got, Kane is now starting to score. So didn't buy Kane obviously, but so the players he's brought in seem to be doing a fairly decent job in this World Cup. So again, you've got to look at January, and it's going to, what we get in January, and whether this what's going on does affect the January transfer window. Hopefully, it won't. But I think overall he's done a good job in the quality of players that we've got in. The two players. I mean, you could argue that Bentancur and Kulusevski were partly responsible for us to getting into the Champions League this season. Certainly an important part of it. And they're the players that we got in January. So. I think overall he's done a good job, but we'll have to see what happens with this fuss that's going on now, and whether it's just really serious or whether it's just that's just normally what happens in Italian football,
I also feel like there's that sort of compare and contrast that's sometimes needed too. You kind of think of the players maybe Paratici has gotten rid of, and then look at the players that he's brought in. So he got rid of the likes of a Steven Bergwijn and has brought in a Kulusevski. So Steven Bergwijn was brought in to be that right winger that Kane and Son needed. Steve Hitchens sort of failed in that kind of metric and bringing someone in. He brings in a Kulusevski. Then the next season, he brings in a Richarlison in order to fill the backup line for Kane. And that's starting to look like a pretty good sizable move. When he needed to get rid of Winks, he brings in Basuma. Like all of a sudden now we find ourselves where like kind of the midfield is sort of like patched to the like, yes, we need maybe kind of that sort of James Maddison type creative midfielder. But for the most part, we now find ourselves, wow, like kind of, this midfield sort of kind of patched together all of a sudden. Like we kind of feel like we can be a bit more confident about it these days. And that only, I think, is on the back of the little time that he's been here. And I mean, Conte's been here, what is it, a year, basically a little over a year now at this stage.
November,
and then Paratici came in July or whatever it was. And so he's been in here a year and what, 5 months, a year and a half, basically. And you kind of look at the impact that he's had in just that alone. Like, I don't like to use this as a tagline here, but in a year and a half, if you're able to tell me that you were able to get rid of Winks and Aurier and bring in Basuma and Kulusevski, it does look pretty good as a bit of a tagline. Or,
Sorry, go on, David.
I was just going to say, but there are many out there that would disagree with you on that, Jack. Look, you know where I sit. I think the quality of players are night and day since, compared to Steve Hitchens. But where do you think it stacks up then, Brad, to Steve Hitchens signings? Are we seeing better quality signings coming in here? Because some would argue Basuma hasn't hit the ground running. Perisic is too old. Lenglet's not good enough. Richarlison has been a waste of money. So where do you sit on it? Do you think the quality of signings have been better since Steve Hitchens?
I think the players we've got in, I mean, again, you're not going to sign 7 or 8 players and they're suddenly going to become world beaters. You're going to have to give them time to settle in. And we're seeing players like Basuma starting to play a lot better now and fit in. Lenglet, I obviously think was bought in because we couldn't get Bastoni. So they've gone for, and that was for no fault of us trying. It was the fact that Bastoni didn't want to leave Inter, and you've got to respect that. So, Lenglet, I think Jed Spence, I just wish he'd be played more because I think he's going to be a decent player. One thing I'll say about Jed Spence was that you look at Borussia Dortmund, how they've taken on a couple of English players. They took on Jadon Sancho and made him into an international. And the one, Bellingham's the other player that they've taken on. Who was the other team that were trying to get Jed Spence? Borussia Dortmund. So that, to me, says that there's a player there. And I'm really hoping that during the World Cup, he's been down at Hotspur Way and Conte's been coaching how he wants him to play. Because he took his time with Basuma saying, he's not really tactically yet. So I'm really, really hoping. And I think you do wonder that, the last game we played against Leeds, where Emerson, came off to everyone cheering and, Doherty didn't do that much better in himself. So you do wonder whether he's looked at that and thought, right, that's it. We need to get a decent right wing back, looking at Jed Spence, and then hopefully in the window, maybe getting someone else in and then shipping off Doherty and Emerson later. So, I think...
Brad. You're selling me things I'm looking for. You're honestly giving me a hard out here, Brad.
Well, no, this is... I mean, look, let's put it on the line. This is me hoping. This is me hoping what's happening, okay? It's not... I'm not saying I've got any great knowledge on what's happening or, he's going to do this. This is me hoping, and it could be total rubbish I'm talking, but I'm hoping this is what's happening. And Conte himself said that the idea of the last window was quantity, not, was quantity.
Yeah.
So we've got a squad now that, and you look at Arsenal and think, well, Jesus is out. How are they going to replace him? Who's going to come in and take his place? Where Spurs, if Kane was to get injured, you could trust Richarlison to do a job. So, so we got the quantity of players in, and now we're looking for quality. So, it's people get. I mean, it's the modern days. It's the modern age. Everyone wants success tomorrow.
Yeah.
And okay, we've waited 20 years for success, but this is a new regime we got here. We got one of the world's best coaches. We've got a guy who's respected, no matter what's been going on with Juventus, as a decent director of football and been able to organise that. So we're literally starting again. Doesn't excuse the last 20 years? Of course it doesn't. But we've got to look at it from, when Conte comes in, that's where you draw a line. This is what we're going to
looking ahead. Look forward.
I think you're absolutely spot on with that, Brad. I think somewhere along the line, the frustration's been there. Like you said, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't look like the owners are going to go anywhere soon. You would hope with maybe the value slapped on Liverpool and United and people being interested, it might make them think about, hang on, clubs are at their highest value right now.
Mm.
Do we cash in? You would hope that maybe there is that thought. But what I will say, Brad, I think while they're here, while you can't get rid of them, somewhere along the line, you have to draw a line and say things got so bad. We have to, like for yourself, you have to start fresh somewhere, some project, and try and get behind it. But look, Brad, new segment, just came up with it, so you're the first to play. And basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking questions from the chat as we go along, and I'm going to put a viewer's question to you as your last question before we end off. And I'm going to do.
We're just good friends. We're just good friends. There's no evidence. We're just good friends.
So everybody, get your questions in. I am starring them, and I will give a question to everybody before they end off. So we're going to give you Phil's here, Brad. And he says, lads, what do we think of dropping Kane in a 10 role behind Richie with Sonny and Kulu either side? I think this
I think Philo 1, 2, 3 Coys, I think that's something that we certainly have to look at as an option at Tottenham, because I think Kane's passing in this tournament, or in general, has been amazing. You know, he's only scored the 1 goal, but he's got about 2 or 3 assists already. And, you know, last night he got the pre-assist, didn't he? The assist, if you like, for the first England goal. That is definitely a whether it would work with Sonny and Kulu, the 4 of them, I don't know. That's quite attacking. We're not Brazil yet, you know. So yeah, whether that would, so I think that is definitely an option that Tottenham must be looking at. I think with certainly, if you played with a 2 up front and for whatever reason Son wasn't playing and Kulusevski wasn't playing, whether they're injured or rested or whatever, yeah, you'd certainly look at 2 up front with Richarlison up top and Kane behind him. So I think that's definitely a role that I think we should be looking at as an option for Tottenham. Whether it'll be the best way of playing, I don't know, but it's certainly the way Kane is developing now as a footballer. He's not really a number 9 anymore. He is a number 10 really, sort of thing. And Richarlison has shown, you know, I don't think he's really played in his proper role at Tottenham yet. And he's shown now that he can play as just as a centre forward, if you like. You know, he's strong. You know, he's got the skill. He's got pace. You know, and let's face it, Kane is. Someone actually made the comment the other day on Twitter saying, "I think Kane's lost his pace." And I'm thinking, I don't know if he ever had any pace, did he? Sort of thing.
When did he ever need it?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Some players don't. So yeah, I think that's certainly a thing that we could certainly look at using. And hopefully, maybe we'd be able to do something like that in the FA Cup, maybe Portsmouth at home. You know, maybe we could do it there, you know. So, yeah.
Around to me, Brad, that would have been the ideal opportunity for my favourite gift, the Forrest Gump sprinting down the driveway. I absolutely love it. But look, Brad, channel, my man, tell people.
Okay. It seems a long time since I've done this, but yeah, Blue Sofa songs. The last 2 songs that I've been using, what is known as DAW, which of course is digital audio workstation, and it's basically a recording station on your laptop. So you can go on your laptop. It's like a recording studio. You record a track and you can record another track and you can do this, blah, 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 mix it, all that sort of stuff. Nice. So the last 2 songs, the song that was out 2 weeks ago called Even Butterflies, I think it's the best song I've done. And the one that I did on Friday called Freedom of Speech is basically I was testing out a drum loop, and I could only find 1 drum loop. So I wanted to make the song as basic as possible so I could test out this drum loop. So I'm hoping to get a better drum loop at some stage and make that better. So yeah, it's getting there. So yeah, the last 2 songs is, you know, you've got to think about making video clips and this sort of thing. So luckily YouTube have got sort of, you know, ones that you can use without being copyright infringing, that sort of stuff. So it's all a new thing for me. So it's
good man.
Obviously I've still got to write songs, and it's not an exclusive. So I did actually mention it on Dermot's charity show. But the song I'm working on at the moment is going to be the Blue Sofa Songs Christmas single. So,
wow!
Although, don't worry, it's not going to be.
It's
Jingle bells. It's not going to be like that. It's just going to be like about friendship and that sort of stuff, and how everyone celebrates Christmas, and we all do it in different ways. And I'm not religious, so it's like all about friendship for me. So yeah, so that's coming up. Hopefully next Friday. Hopefully that one.
I love that. I love that, Brad. That's what Christmas is about for me, is spending time with friends, family, everything else, you know. And I like your way of thinking on that, but I'm also psyched for Christmas. Look at Santa Claus there on my glass. I'm such a child. But Brad, beat yourself up, my man. I'm going to speak to you again very soon.
Click like and subscribe. Click like and subscribe. Click like and subscribe to anyone.
Big up,
everywhere.
Thank you very much, guys. And by the way, I won the quiz as well. Let's not forget that.
Good. Yeah.
And by the way, there's quizzes coming your way on this channel as well.
Oh,
And I
right.
do have
Brilliant,
a way.
brilliant.
I just have to try it out with Jacko, actually. But I have something that maybe I think you guys at home that are watching as well can all play along through your mobile phone. So should be some exciting times over here, some fun times too.
If your questions are all pre 1970, I'll have a good chance. So.
Well, Brad, I've got loads of books now with Spurs quiz questions, so makes my life easier. But Brad, we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys. Great seeing you again. Okay.
All right. See you soon, Brad. Catch you,
Bye.
my man. Thanks for coming on, getting us started. Pick up.
Really enjoying getting back into it, Jacko. The shoulders are loose. I'm loosening up, my man. We got Robbie Wallace. Big up, my man, all the way from New Zealand. I hope you are keeping well. Let me know if you were maybe secretly rooting for Australia to have a good competition. They've done well. Let me know. Says, and actually also let us know where the New Zealand national team is at. We played you not so long ago in a friendly. I think Troy Parrott actually made his debut that day. But let me know, have you progressed since then? Because it'd be interesting to compare where you're at to Ireland. Because I was saying to Jack the other day about where USA were when I watched the Milan's down road to where they are now and how much Ireland have progressed. It'd be very, very interesting. But Jack, he says, evening, boys. Good to see these back on. Great to see you too. He says, in my opinion, Paratici is the king of car park paper bag gifting, but would still have him. Dave, the debate last night with Sean Cuva, yourself, and those two. Look, it was a good debate. I thought a very good debate, my man. Look, they're good guys. They are good guys, my man. But I thought it was a very good debate. I really enjoyed it. A lot of debate over Paratici and Conte, but that's what it's about, my man. That is what it's about. Jack says Paratici is the king of car park paper bag gifting, but he would still have them.
I think you would just have to look at what Spurs have had to go through in terms of transfers in the past, Rob, and look at maybe what Paratici has delivered. I think you can now finally say, Rob, there are some players that you can sort of be proud of as Spurs fan. I think during that Nuno time period that summer, we were kind of walking into that season with not many players other than kind of Kane, Son, and Lloris that we really were like that happy about. Maybe Højbjerg with the Højbjerg stands that were, I guess, there too. But really, when you look at it, it was kind of a threadbare squad when it came to quality and when it came to even players that sort of Spurs fans had any sort of confidence in really whatsoever. Now with the likes of Bentancur, Romero, Kulusevski, and more now, Basuma, players that were big fans of his, or fans that were big, of Basuma. It just sort of shows now that I think Paratici has brought in players that we sort of can be proud of again in comparison to the Nkudus and the NGs and the Vincent Janssens and the Gio Lo Celsos, etc. of the world that we felt like we also had to sort of have patience for each and every week. Maybe it reached at a stage of 2 years, 3 years that we still were saying, just have to wait a little bit longer for them to come good. Trust me, they'll come good. I found myself even guilty of that with those guys too. And now we can finally rest assured, be a bit more confident and a bit more kind of let's say proud of some of the players that I think have come in since Paratici.
It was making my stomach turn having to try and find some tolerance level between Winks and Sissoko, or Doherty or Aurier or Davies or a Sanchez, or it was gut wrenching, or a Bergwijn or a Lucas. It was just gut wrenching trying to find some tolerant level on why they have to be in our starting line, why one shit player has to be in over another shit player. It was really hard to do. It was gut wrenching. I'll be honest, I think Paratici, look, mate, they all haven't hit the ground running, but I think he's bringing in players that people can get behind, that people look at and say, okay, there's some good Premier League experience here. They can just do the basics, which is trap a ball and move it on. Rob, I think he's done a good job, but I understand why people say he hasn't. Look, we truly won't know until he's probably gone, to be honest, when you probably analyse absolutely everything he's done here. But from what I would say is, from Europa Conference League to Champions League, I think he's done a decent job, if I'm being honest. He says it's wasted if it's not on this channel. Look, my man, I've got to spread the love. People give up time to come on here. I've also got to give up time to go over there and help these guys out too, my man. But don't worry, plenty of debates coming your way, Rob. I know you love, but there's
big up, Rob. Appreciate your support as well, my man. You're an absolute legend.
And I don't see it yet, but please let us know what my question was on New Zealand. Please give me an answer, man. I'm just curious. I need to weigh up where Ireland are in the world.
Need an answer there, Rob. Phil, 123 Coys, big up Phil, member for 4 months, says Spurs versus Arsenal game in January will define our season for me. If we win that game, we will push on. Arsenal will fall away second half of the season. Come on, you Spurs. We actually have some interesting, tough games ahead of us before we get into that North London derby, Phil. Actually, some good sort of testers, you could say, to maybe prepare ourselves for it. We don't really have to travel too much. While they may be tough games, though, we don't have to travel too much. For the most part, I think we actually stay in London. So there is kind of maybe a bit of consolidation in that Conte can kind of maybe even cheat a little bit on the training. He doesn't have to think about the travel time or anything in situations. There's sort of I think a bit of a hope that if we don't have any more injuries, if we kind of have a full squad that has been kind of back together for at least a week or two, working together and kind of training together, that we might actually have a bit more momentum maybe than the likes of the Arsenal or maybe other sides, because we have a fit and firing squad and an emphasis on fit squad, because that was something we didn't have all season, really, for the most part, was any sort of semblance of a fit squad at all. And if we can get one going back into the season after a good little restart, I think we can find ourselves going up against the North London derby in full confidence. Big up, my man, Phil.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Big up, Rob, and big up, Rob Wallace. Really appreciate the support, boys. And we've got Dermo. Big up, Dermotron. He says the players have to take responsibility for the game before the World Cup. Paratici and Conte have turned this club around. Let's see where we can get to. So basically saying for maybe the period in October, Jack, that the players bear ultimate responsibility. Look, do you know where I'm at with this, Dermo? I just fail to blame some of the good players, some of the good servants. I just fail to blame them. For me, it's like Wally and Brolly at the back line. I mean, what can you do when they're letting everybody else down? And you just know everyone else that's in that starting 11 is also looking at them with the same disdain, to be honest with you. I just put it on certain individuals that have been here under multiple managements, always crying to press about needing given a chance. Like, I'm pretty sure you played for a year solid, but I don't know how many more chances you think you need. And they just keep making the same errors, the same mistakes. You know, ensuring that Tottenham have to go and score 3 goals every second half just to try and go and win a game. It's absolutely ridiculous, my man. And look, injuries played a massive part to it too. Look, Romero instead of Romero in there, just we know how good he is at transitioning the ball out. The guy can run it out, he can pass it out, he can spray a 50-yard ball if he needs to. Not having that is a huge loss, transition out from the back. You've seen other guys that don't really want to get it on in the back line, and when they do, they still give it away. And then Kulusevski, you've seen against Leeds. You know, it was something that I highlighted a little bit before that, where with Harry Kane, you're just everything's going to Harry Kane. Like, you know, because Son can't hold up the ball. That's not Sonny's game. So defenders know that. So as soon as the ball was being arrowed towards Harry Kane, if you look at most of the games, he's there trying to hold 2-3 people off, battling away, this, that, and the other. But with Kulu there, Kulu can also hold it up. He can also run in behind. He can take the ball and run with it himself and skin players. So he was another huge loss. And then just other little niggling injuries in and around as well have not helped us. But hopefully with a few additions, Dermo, the second half of the season can be so much more better. But big up, Dermotron.
Speak to you later as well, brother.
He'll be on shortly, so he will. We've got Chris in the building as well, a new YouTube member. Great to see you, Chrissy boy.
And he also celebrating 17 months, and he says, big up, lads, forgot to renew. Anyways, come on, new Spurs. Chris, I mean, believe me, we haven't been as frequent with the fan shows because of this World Cup, so you haven't probably been pinged with these notifications as much with the fan show happening, so totally understandable. And believe me, we'll make it up to you, Chris, and plenty of the other fan show members out there when the games get back and going. We'll be back with all the fan shows on that regular schedule like we used to, which is, again, everybody, we used to, I think we were doing nearly 3 to 4 a week at a certain stage. So hopefully we get back to that, because I'm dying to get back to that sort of schedule to see the Spurs play and to be speaking with you guys on such a regular basis again, and also have good things to be chatting about like we usually do. So hopefully when we get back on that sort of regular schedule again, Chris, we can see you on here. Big up, my man.
100%, Chris. Make sure you get on here, my man. And everybody, you know, feel free to grab a channel membership. $4.99. It's when the season's back going again. It's 3-4 fan shows every single week after games and every Monday and Friday as well. So you're going to get well used of it. It's 4, 8, 12, 16 fan shows a month for you guys to come on and have your say. $4.99, cheaper than Netflix, Amazon, plus we provide you the Tottenham therapy that they don't. So feel free to grab that channel membership. It's a great way to support the channel and everything we're trying to do here. We're really trying to up the memberships, guys. So feel free to grab one, or like Dermo, gift them out. If you want to gift them out, feel free to gift them out. Nick, Rob Wallace, and who was the other guy that was doing it?
True Sets Free, the legend.
Yeah, so guys, absolute legends. Jacko, we've got Wesley Johnson in here, and it's a dollar sign. I don't know whether it's from Canada or USA, but we'll find out. He says, big up, boys. Dumfries was unreal versus the US, and Gavardiol is an absolute star. Yeah. Increased price tags aside, would you guys be satisfied if we were somehow able to get these two over the line in Duran? Gavardiol alone would be 100%, in my opinion. Now, there has been interest in both them names, Jacko, but first of all, what's your thought on the players? And then answer Wesley Johnson's question. He needs answers.
I think Wesley, for me, Gavardiol this tournament is sort of kind of maybe in front of everybody. If you haven't seen him, he has been performing at like a world-class sort of like level. He's like the aggression of Romero, with sort of the ping of like a Toby, and the maybe the composure on the ball of like a Thiago Silva as well. He reads danger. He throws himself in front of everything. He's so impressive, really. I don't even know if I just feel like every team would want him. I feel like it's going to be kind of like a Jude Bellingham sort of situation with Gavardiol, where it is kind of his choice really among any club in the world, really, of who would take him, especially if they are in need of a center back upgrade, because he's looked like an absolute world-class center back. I think he kind of was beforehand, but seeing him now, I think more on this sort of world stage for everybody to see him, I think has sort of kind of certified it for a lot of people, where it has kind of maybe met up with the hype of this guy. But really, like Gavardiol, Dumfries is such a confusing one, Dave, because people like Martin Walton here aren't kind of like big fans of his. And I know Martin really knows his stuff when it comes to European players and kind of how they're doing in other leagues. And it feels like Dumfries, he kind of can be a bit poor for Inter Milan, have some pretty poor games. But whenever it comes to this Dutch team, he can have absolute worldies, it feels like, and really be a menace down that right-hand side. He can cause teams a lot of problems with that right-hand side. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I would take Dumfries, but I could see why he's so convincing in these international tournaments, because he really does turn it on for the Netherlands. So I'm maybe my pass on him, but he has looked unbelievable. But Gavardiol has basically looked like a world-class center back to me, Wesley. So I think we'd take him no matter what. I don't know if it's happening in January, just because it feels like it was kind of confirmed that it wasn't going to be happening in January, even with the Chelsea rumor and everything. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like with him also having, he has knockout rounds for Leipzig and this upcoming too. He's going to be in the round of 16 for the Champions League. I think he's just going to finish out his last season with Leipzig, and then he'll make his move after that to whatever club of his choosing. Hopefully Spurs. Definitely hopefully Spurs.
Look, Gavardiol is going to be a tough one. There's going to be a lot of clubs interested in him, and a lot of clubs that would probably drive the fee up a little bit more than what we'd probably be able to pay, or more than what we're willing to pay, to be honest with you. So Gavardiol, plus he's got, 4 years left on his contract as well after this season.
I think he's leaving next summer. I think he's leaving this upcoming summer. He's leaving this summer.
Price is going to be higher than what we'll pay. Like, you're probably talking in around 80 million, I would say 70, 80 million. Not sure Tottenham will put that outlay on him. Dumfries, look, he turned up at the last Euros. He's turned up at the World Cup, but it's what he does between them. He goes missing. That's my biggest problem. When I look at him, right, I think he's similar stature to Emerson, probably just a bit better on the ball. To be honest with you, I'm a bit torn on Dumfries, Wesley. I really don't know. I want to watch a bit more of him, to be honest with you. I'm very torn on Dumfries, but Gavardiol, if we could get him, is an absolute start, my man. But big up, Wesley. Really appreciate the support. Bringing the best out of Jacko there, my man. Absolutely love it. Big up, Wesley. Great question, brother. Big yourself up. Martin Walton has his question is next. So, guys, keep getting your questions in for the guests. We still need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7. Still need 7 or 8 questions, guys. So keep getting your questions in. Like I said, new segment. We'll save one and ask the guests at the end one of your questions. And then Rob Wallace is back to me. He says New Zealander would never support Aussie. And also, New Zealand lost to Costa Rica in the playoffs to reach Qatar. We only have Chris Wood as a Premier League player, tongue in cheek on the 2 Wallies comment. No, 100%. I know that, my man. I know that, brother. Big yourself up. Similar to Ireland, we don't have many Premier League players whatsoever, to be honest with you. We've got very few. And we're just shit, man. We're just shit. Maybe we could play each other every international break, try and get ourselves a bit more competitive and a bit more better. Chris Wood also coming to probably towards the tail end of his career. Any youngsters from New Zealand maybe coming through to take over that reign, let me know, man. But big up, Robbie. But we're going to crack on. But guys,
and then Danny Kiriakou celebrating 20 months, just saying, big up, boys. Good to see you in here, Danny. Hopefully you're enjoying the show, my man. Big
up, Mr. Kiriakou. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully that bonus grew a little bit longer as well, my man. Big yourself up. But everybody, I would like to see absolutely everybody in the chat with a badge beside their names. There are cheaper memberships as well. Let's be the #1 channel where everyone has a badge beside their name. That'd be absolutely awesome. But look, let's crack on, Jacko. I
think it's Daddy Hoiberg time. I think it's Daniel's time to hop on and see what he has to say. There he is.
Daniel. How you keeping, brother?
Life is good. Life is good.
What have you thought of the chat that we've had so far, Daniel? We've been thinking about Paratici, thinking about the number 9 Richie, just kind of also the future and where maybe some of the problems lie. What have you kind of made of the chat so far? And also even the Paratici, the man under investigation. I mean, what do you make?
I can talk about the last thing you spoke of with Dumfries and Guardiola. I mean, Guardiola is the next big thing now. Forget Bastoni, get Guardiola. Forget Bastoni, don't get him. This guy, but it's already too late now because now Real Madrid and everyone's and Chelsea's been already bent over for Chelsea. I've heard him say so. That's sad.
No, he's looked world class to me this tournament. He really has. He's been unbelievable. Good. He's as aggressive as Romero is too, I think.
Yeah, better on the ball though.
Any other players that maybe's caught your eye at this World Cup, Daniel? That maybe you think Spurs can
Gakpo.
Jack's well versed in that guy.
I like Gakpo.
Yeah, he looks really good. Other than that, it's been the normal ones that you expect. Like Mbappe's been fucking insane. Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Bellingham. Bellingham is probably my favorite player in the world right now. Højbjerg, I'm sorry. It's Daddy Bellingham.
He does it all. He's actually got a younger brother at Birmingham as well called Joby. He's at Birmingham. But Bellingham's been absolutely unbelievable. Jack, I've been on this guy for a long time. I think he's got it all. He's a big, strong guy, box to box, also likes arriving in the box, can play, can tackle. He's absolutely insane. But Daniel, we're here to talk about the Don himself. What are your thoughts on the current investigation and everything surrounding him? Do you think that the party they're saying Romero, Kulusevski, Bentancur deals are all under investigation?
What does that mean, though? Does that mean that if something is there, we're fucked?
Look, I don't. The Romero one can't be because we signed him from Atlanta, right? So I don't think that one can be under investigation because we signed him from Atlanta. Kulu, we got on loan with a future option to pay. But there's a guy that was mounting about Paratici that said they overpaid for Kulu, so surely they should be happy to have him off the books, right?
Yeah. No, but it's like with Spurs. We can't have anything nice, it seems. Everything is always something. Always something. No, this, like, what? I don't know. I mean, it's probably something, but Italians, you never know. They're kind of dodgy, in my opinion.
Definitely obscure. Definitely some of the more obscure news you've ever seen, probably over a World Cup break. That's for sure. For Spurs, and that's maybe what happens, right, over a time period like this. And we've never had a World Cup winter break, and maybe some of the crazier news come out. I think with Romero, you're absolutely right, Dave. With it, like he went from Juventus to Atalanta. Mm-hmm. I think then what was it? We sort of bought him from Atalanta, but it was like somehow Juventus sort of kind of negotiated the deal for us, kind of in some sort of shape or form, allowed us to get him back through Atalanta. But Kulusevski, the other players, Bentancur, it's not like we haven't paid for them. It's not like we, sort of any dodgy money behind it or anything like that. Or it's not like there's any dodgy deals, I think, in that regard. It's not like we have to return them back to the store or something like that and, have to get rid of them and look for a different Kulusevski. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't know, but Daniel, how do you see it? If maybe Paratici, let's say, he's FBI raids his house, just kind of like Sepp Blatter and FIFA and all that. Paratici gets thrown into the slammer. What would you kind of make of that? Would you kind of feel like Paratici, with the work he's done so far, you would kind of thank him for his service? Would you kind of feel like, looking forward to a new director of football? Where would you kind of stand with him if he, let's say, were to be gone the next day?
I'm always going to thank him for getting Bentancur and Kulusevski. Bentancur for 20 million. Look at him. He's the second best midfielder after Bellingham, I think, in this World Cup. He's been absolutely insane. And, he's only going to get better, especially the way he plays forward now as well. And Kulusevski, that's a steal as well. So now, for those two only alone, he's a god. He's a don,
What
and also
about
trying at least to get rid of Ndombele, Lo Celso, and all those fucking twats.
I was just going to ask you that, Daniel. A lot's been made saying, look, they're out on loan. He hasn't fully got rid of them. But look, as long as Conte is here, there's no way back. What do you think of that situation? Has he done as good job as getting rid of players?
It's so hard getting rid of those when no club is going to really, because of how the wages. Ndombele, I don't know how these wages are insane here. So someone to buy him and on fully wages, that's so hard. But of course, if he plays well for Napoli, hopefully they take him. But Lo Celso, he's also on massive wages. So it's extremely hard.
Not only that, though, Daniel, but we have to remember we're coming off the back of the pandemic. Money up around Europe is dry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Lo Celso, when people aim at Paratici, I'm sure he's only loaned them out. Well, Villarreal were the only team interested, and guess what? They done a loan swap with Watford, who were down in the Championship, and the week before they got the Lo Celso deal over the line. And it's just kind of like you've also got to understand there may be a bar that we set on these players and the value we set on them, and believing that there is talent there, even though we failed to get out of them, we still believe there's talent there, and this is the value. But what we have to understand is clubs aren't just going to lay that value on them, knowing that we couldn't get the talent out of them, and there's also a possibility that they might not with the current financial climate as well. So. Look, it's been a hard one, but for me, at least he's got rid of them somehow, rather than sitting there and going, "Oh, well, there's no buyers, we have to integrate him." It's like, well, doesn't matter. Find somewhere to go and loan.
Mm-hmm. No, he's working hard as well, always on the phone. So.
And they apparently wiretapped his phones. I guess someone got on the inside of Paratici's office there. Where do you kind of feel like this January is, Daniel? Because like you said, he brought in Kulusevski, he brought in Bentancur. It's been brought up before that this January is sort of used as maybe a time to bring in quality, right? Not bring in the quantity, bring in more of the quality players. I feel like Paratici achieved that last time by bringing in Kulusevski and Bentancur. Do you think he can do it again? And what do you kind of maybe see him kind of going after this time around in January? Is he going to maybe keep his eye on a center back?
Hopefully, after the World Cup, since the World Cup is now, it's going to be so hard for clubs in January to get any
it's
good
a totally
deals.
Different January.
Yeah, because now the price is even going to be higher because of how even average players performs in the World Cup all of a sudden. So I don't think there's going to be any steals. Might be wrong, but if we can get a decent centre back. Who was that? There was one I forgot already. Jesus, but no, yeah.
That's a good point you make, though, that the World Cup is not ideal when it comes to maybe trying to find a similar steal or under the radar type player, because they might have in some way maybe been put a bit on the spotlight this World Cup. You're definitely right about that. But for me, I feel like he is going to have to find some sense of quality, and he's going to have to look at the center back position. Dave and I have kind of sort of disagreed on maybe what sort of player he can probably try to get in, and what maybe his sort of let's say his standard should be. Dave wants kind of us to keep really high standards for that center back this January, whereas I'm kind of Daniel. I'm getting a bit desperate here, right? I kind of feel like I would sort of take anybody at this stage. And if I find myself like on the 23rd of January, something like that, and there's still no center back in, I feel like I would take, maybe I would lower my standards. Would you feel like you'd be okay with maybe, I don't know, not the, like, I don't know, a bit of a riskier type center back, maybe something that's a bit more under the radar, let's say, something like that? I don't know. Like Indika, I'm not sure is the best example. Maybe he would be someone that a lot of people would be excited about, I would imagine. But let's say that Ukrainian guy like Zabarny or something like that. Let's say maybe we went after him and maybe someone that was a bit of a risk. I don't know. What would you stand on that? Would you be okay with maybe sort of, lowering the standards if it means we get a center back no matter what?
Well, for me, we have the lowest standards anyway already at our club, so it can't get any worse. So
you can't lower him any further. So DeVry, would you take DeVry then, like Martin says, like in January?
Oh yeah, of course. No, he's fantastic still. I think. Would assume. So.
Look, when you look at someone like Thiago Silva, still bossing it, the way he reads the game, doesn't need that relentless legs in him because he just reads it so well, puts himself into good positions, telling the line to push up, holding everyone account, looking across, making sure they're all in line, barking orders. That's what I want at Tottenham. That's what you need in a centre back. Where I disagree with Jack on it, Daniel, is I'm just not sure someone like an Indika or a Sabanye will walk in here and do that, especially because of their age as well.
No, young centre back is not going to be the leader. Someone like
that's a good point.
like a Bellingham of centre backs, like if you know what I mean, like. But there isn't. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, we're going to end off with Martin Walton's question here. He says Paratici has been excellent left-sided playmaker at the World Cup. Do you think that there's a better role for him in the future as he gets older?
Maybe playing as a left winger.
Further forward?
Left winger. Well, that was his first position, right? Like, that's where he started. So then he's been shifted to wing back and then back now. But, yeah, I mean, I've been mixed about him on wing back, really. So, and you saw that goal he took. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So,
great
I
goal.
think, yeah.
Here's the thing on the wing backs, right, Daniel? I think you raise a good point there. Let me know what you think. Like, we all pull out Emerson and Doherty, rightly so, criticizing him about going forward. But then on the other side, people criticize Perisic for his defensive abilities. It's like, what do we actually want in the wing back positions? Do we want someone that's good going forward, or do we want someone that's sound defensively? Because you're not going to get both.
No, sadly, that's almost like standards that you have to look at, but it's almost impossible getting that. But don't get me wrong, I think Perisic been fantastic, especially last day, like just before the World Cup break. So, but I definitely think his tackling talent is almost too much to let go to waste. Especially if Son. I mean, Son has been poor again, so if that continues.
I wonder if Adoji coming in would Perisic and Son be fighting it out next season for that position further up. Be very, very interesting. Guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. But Daniel, big yourself up, my man, and we'll speak again soon.
Big up. Great to talk to you, guys, again.
There's one thing I've been missing, though, Daniel. Give it to me. Give me a come on, you Spurs. Come on, I've been hanging for one.
Oh, yeah. It's not been. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Hopefully we see Daddy Højbjerg fit and firing and well rested.
You can have a rest finally. Hopefully he's having cool sex on the beach in somewhere.
Big up, Daniel. We'll see you again soon.
Enjoy your evening, Daniel. Enjoy your evening.
I'm off.
Everyone give Daniel a big up in the comments. He's a good guy. I like Danny. But big up Martin Walton. Now, guys, slacking. We've been asking for questions for these guests. It's your questions. Get them in. We have none for any other guests lined up. So get your questions in. We'll start them and we will put them to the panelists before they end off. But Jacko, let's keep this moving. Who we got?
It's Dermot's time, David. It's Dermo time.
Dermot's on. Let's get him on. Me and Dermo spent an evening with Ellie actually there not so long ago in Dublin. Dermo, how are you?
Yeah, I ended up in hospital after meeting Ellie that night with bronchitis. So yeah, I had a great time coming back from Dublin. It was fantastic. No, to be fair, I had a lovely meal up there with Ellie and her husband and yourself, and we had a good laugh. And yeah, it was a good time. But just ended up with fucking bronchitis. Ellie's dying with it in England, and I've got it over here. So it's fucking just one of them things. But and you seem to be fine. You jammy git.
I'm absolutely fine, Dermo. You know, body is steel, my man. Body is steel.
Yeah,
but Dermo, let's get it. Well, I wish it was anyway. But Dermo, let's get into it, my man. Yeah. Paratici, obviously, I hope you've read up on all the investigations and everything going on. What is your thoughts on everything?
Look, for me, I think it's like being at a kid's party and it's like pass the parcel. They're trying to blame everyone they can apart from themselves. There was they're looking for a scapegoat. And because Paratici is now at Tottenham, we blame him. I think, like, the chairman, the owners have to take responsibility. I mean, it's not all Paratici's fault. They allowed it to happen in the first place. So it's not the first time they've done this caper, Juventus, and they got relegated before for it. And I just think the owners have to take responsibility, and they seem to be pinning it on Paratici for some reason. I don't know why. And I don't think it's fair because there was other people involved in it. And I think they should leave him alone. He's doing a great job at Tottenham. He's had a tougher job as it is with what Hitchin did, and he's messed that Hitchin left him with.
Yeah. Well, Dermot, what would you say that people would say overprayed on Emerson shit? Galini was shit when he got here. They're not happy with bringing in Gill and getting rid of Lamela. Hasn't fixed the centre back issue. Still hasn't fixed the right wing back issue. What would you say to them claims?
Look, Rome was built in a day. You're never going to get everything right. You're always going to crack a few eggs when you're trying to make an omelette, sort of thing. And I know it's a cliche hearsay, but it's true. You can't get every player right. There's always going to buy a player who's going to have a wonderful season, and we buy him and they're shit. But it's nobody's fault. Galini should be working in the circus because he's a proper clown. As for Lamela was never. For me, I never liked Lamela. I just thought he was too temperamental, too hot-tempered. Hill can turn out to be a world-class player still. I mean, look what he did when they come on against Marseille. He won the penalty that got us back in the game. Look, Paratici, for me, has done a good job. Not all the players have been brilliant, and I will grant you that. But the players he bought in last January, that got us top 4, plus Conte. So we've got to give him credit somewhere.
What about the summer, Dermo? Because people will say, okay, yeah, even if you say we've done good business, we still bring in a centre-back.
Look, if players don't want to leave their clubs, you can't force them. You can't just say, you're coming to Tottenham, and that's it. If players want to stay, your man wants to stay in Inter Milan, we can't force them to come. Look, this is not FIFA or Football Manager. There's a lot more goes into these deals than some people think they do. There's agents' fees, there's club fees, there's performance fees, there's other things in there. So everything's got to be right. You got to put everything. It's like cooking a cake. I think Philip Brady put this. It's like cooking the cake. If you put the right ingredients in, your cake's going to come out perfect. And that's the same thing with signing a player. You've got to get everything right. And maybe the player doesn't want to come to London, or maybe he doesn't like the manager that's there. Do you know what I mean? There is a combination of everything. Look, we had a great window. Let's put the fair. We've got players in. I thought the players that we've brought in have done well. I thought Longley's been brilliant at the back with Romero. He gets the ball down, he brings it out, and that's what we've been looking for. And I think if we have a good January transfer window, I think we can go further. But look, we're top 4, last 16 in the Champions League. It's not like we're mid-table and out the Champions League. Okay, Nottingham Forest, it was one of them nights. But I think some of them players have to take responsibility. And for my super chat, Dave, it was more the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Doherty, all them players that never take responsibility for their performances.
Dermot, how can they beat Nottingham Forest in the league 2-0, and then because it's Carabao Cup, we end up being bet then?
I think the World Cup had a lot to do with it. I think a lot of players, as soon as the World Cup was around the corner, didn't want to get injured.
Did Conte get his team selection wrong, or do you blame the players for, it's not Premier League, so we'll just go through the motions?
I think whatever team Conte picks, they have to go out and give 100%. It doesn't matter if you pick a load of kids or you pick your top 11. They still go, once they cross that line, they have to perform for the team. The manager can only do so much. The manager can't go out and play for them. They have to play. So I think Conte does take responsibility if he makes a wrong substitution, or he doesn't make a substitution on time, or he leaves it to the 80th minute, and you're thinking we should have changed it 20 minutes ago. Then I think you're right to say, look, come on, man, you made a mistake here. But he can't be blamed for players that are on the pitch that can't be bothered to perform. That Dyer keeps making a mistake. Sanchez is like Bambi on ice. Doherty, I mean, we went to the Ireland game. I mean, he's from Dublin, right? He's the only man wearing gloves, and you knew I abused him all night for it. I think he heard me once because he did click round.
Premier League money, Dermo. He's what is it? He's flexing. You know, he's bringing out the Nike gloves.
But you know, that's true. But the point is, players have to take responsibility. You can't blame everything on the manager. Sorry.
Let me ask you this as well, Dermo. Is there a project here under Conte and Paratici, or is it just wishful thinking? Do you actually see a plan, a vision, and a project going forward with these guys at the helm under Daniel Levy?
Well, look, last season I was very much Levy out. I want him out of my club. I want Enoch out. Do you know? I started this summer with a clean slate. Look, I'm going to give you this year. I'm going to give you this season, and then at the end of the season, I'll take it from there. Now, I read somewhere, and I put it in the chat somewhere last night, and I was going into my own show this week, that even if the new owners, if Tottenham do sell, Levy wants to stay on as chairman for 2 more years.
Would you be okay with that, Dermot? Levy staying on under a different guidance?
Or even what if he just had someone just bigger than him? Like, what if he kind of had a shark that sort of swallowed him, like in some sort of sense, and he was.
To be fair, I think Levy's done a good job on.
Like he had 25%, and some guy had like 60%.
Well, he's only got 30% at the club already, Jack. He only owns 30% of.
Oh, you're right.
Of the club. Look, Levy for me on the footballing side is a bloody nightmare. Let's not. I mean, he is a bloody nightmare. I mean, he really is. On the business side, he's done brilliant. I mean, we've got a lovely stadium, the best training ground. We're better financially suited than we've ever been as a club. And I know he had to sign, when we built the stadium, he had to sign contracts that from the council, we had to do so much for really regenerate the area as well, which badly needs regenerating, really does around that area. I mean, the last time we went to Spurs, it was exactly the same as it was when I went as a kid. Nothing has changed, really. Look, he's had his faults. I've been angry with him. He hasn't done great, but look, I think you can look at any chairman. You look at the Glazers and look how Man United are at the moment. You look at us on the financial side of it. We're well ahead of them. I think if a kick here or if a penalty went here, or if that penalty was given in the Champions League final, then we would have been sitting here with the league title, Champions League, and a couple of FA Cups and a League Cup. But it's fine margins, isn't it? It's either one way or the other. I've always said I'd give him this season. And look, for me, I think he deserves some of the crap he gets, but I don't think he deserves all of it. And that's just my own opinion. And though last season I got wrapped up in Levy out and all that, and if you sit down and really think about it and do the pros and cons, I think we could have had the Glazers in, who didn't give a shit about Man United. And it's taken how long Man United to get them out of the club. And all the protests. And they started up a new football club as a protest. As well. I just think, be careful what you wish for, because we could end up with a Chinese owner. We could end up with an American owner that doesn't give a shit about us and do what the Glazers did, just take money out of the club all the time. And you know, as bad as Enoch and Levy have been on some of the things, and not investing in the team and not invested in the club. Yes, I'm screaming when we haven't bought in the transfer market, the 3 winners we didn't spend. Yes, there has been time I have pulled my hair out. But I think under Conte, he's tried. He's tried to change, and I think we'll just, as long as Conte's there, I'm happy. If Conte leaves, then I have to rethink what I think about it. But I always said I'd give him this season. So now if that gives me like a flip-flop, or people are going to slag me off for it, I don't really care what you think.
Not flip-flop, Darren. It's a flexibility in opinion and thought, and being able to change it all the time when different things come to light. Maybe you've missed, my man. But look, Foggy Foam says people's frustrations in that back line, same as me. We will find ourselves pointing fingers because of those guys who refuse to learn their mistakes. Look, their frustrations are in it now. It wasn't in the summer when we could have done something about it. In fact, I warned people, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're all going to be crying to me come the break of the World Cup about that back line. And that's exactly what's happened. Everyone's highlighting it now, but we have to we've got to stop this nostalgia and this want. Look, we all want these players to do better. They've been around for years, but they just haven't produced. And, we've just got to say, look, nice guy, great human being, just not good enough for Tottenham. We have to stop this crap. Even Stevie B, I still hear people talking about Stevie B. It's great to see him out there for Netherlands. He's shit. He's absolutely shit. Why do we care about Stevie B? He done nothing for Tottenham. He scored a late winner against Leicester last season. We all dance around and celebrate. But that doesn't make you good enough to live off that one moment at Tottenham Hotspur. Got to stop this crap with some of these players. He's had a decent campaign for the back end of the season. I wonder why, because there's a big summer transfer window coming up. That's why. They want to protect their money because they know if they go to Burnley, well, it's probably going to be half the wages and they'll probably have to perform a little bit better as well. So, look, for me, I see a lot of this. Everyone's, the back line, but it just was not the case in the summer. I got ridiculed. Dave, you're being a meanie weenie to Sanchez. You're being a meanie weenie to Dyer. You're being harsh on Davies. Well, their performances are harsh in my eyes. How about that? But Dermo, look, my man, I've one more question for you. Sorry, that wasn't the question. Foggy Foam just teed me up. It was like.
Can I just say something on that very quickly, Dave?
Happy Gilmore.
I just want to add to you very quickly. Look, for me, the likes of Dyer and Sanchez, who have been under multiple managers, and you know where I'm going with this because of last night, and I was pulling my hair out at some point, right? They have to. They were the same players that let down Poch, let down Mourinho. I mean, you can forget Ryan Mason. He was just their body, right? And then let down Nuno.
Oh, Steve Hitchen.
And so if you look at all them people, I know everyone's going to say, but it's Hitchen, you go to Levy, it was his job. The buck stops at the top, which you can sort of say, okay, I can understand that, but I don't. But these players have let us down year after year after year after year. But isn't it surprising no club wants to buy them because they know how shit they are?
That's what surprised me, Dharma. I mean, if they're that good, Dyer hasn't always been a starter. Why is no one coming to try and sneak him or Davies or Sanchez? It's just, I don't know. But Dharma, Martin Walton thinks he has a solution for this defensive problem. What about Maguire? Harry Maguire, Dharma? He's been okay at this World Cup.
Do you know what? He surprised me, to be fair, what I've seen of him. He really has, actually.
Would you rather have him or Moonhead?
Oh, him. Maguire.
Yeah, Maguire. I was trying to think just to be, trying to last it a bit longer. No, there isn't. I would have.
He's keeping Dyer out the England squad. It just shows how bad he is.
I would have Stones as well instead of Dyer. I thought Stones has played well.
Stones isn't achievable. He'll stay at City until he's about 30 because of the English tag. He helps with the homegrown.
Yeah, but look, I would go for Maguire. I really would. I think if he played well at Leicester, I think he's had an up and down time at United. See him under Conte, I think you could see him grow to be a good defender again. I've got Moonhead is actually on Artemis 2 to head to the moon. He's one of the astronauts.
Honestly, it's like he's got a helmet on his head when he headers the ball because you don't know what direction it's going to go. There's no control in it.
He came on the other night, right? I was watching the Senegal game. When he came on, I had that same feeling when he comes on for Tottenham. I was thinking, I wonder how the England fans are feeling now. It's, oh, shit. I just want to say one thing to Mia if she's watching. Right, me and Mia have been having banter about.
Before you do, by the way, Mia, you're next, and Ribsy, get back in here as well if you're still available. Sorry, Dermot, go on.
No. Look, me and Mia have been having this sort of banter about England and the World Cup and Ireland and everything. It's all good natured. Be honest with you, if England can keep Mbappe quiet on Saturday and they beat France, I think they get to the final. Because I think they're good enough to beat Spain and Portugal. Now, whoever they reach in the final, I don't know if they'll beat Argentina or Brazil, because I think Argentina are going to win it myself. But I think if England win on Wednesday, I think they'll get to the final. That's just my how I see it.
And look, if Kyle Walker could do a job on Mbappe, you never know. But Dermo, tell us quickly about THFC Till I Die, brother.
Yeah, we've taken a bit of a break since a 12-hour stream, and this is the first chance I've actually had to come on and thank everyone. We reached our goal of €1,000, but we're not stopping there. We're keeping it open for another week. We want to see can we get 1,500. We had 2 girls on early in the week from the charity, Christina and Debbie, and it was a tearjerker for sure. And it hit home how much it meant to them. So, look, the charity's still going. So the link's on the YouTube channel page. Please donate whatever you can. It's only open for another week. Next Friday it closes. So just see can we get there. Yeah, we took a break during the World Cup. We're coming back with a watch along for the Croatia-Brazil game, and we're doing the England-France game as well. And then on Thursday, me and Philip, I think Ellie's on as well, we're stripping back the history of Tottenham Hotspur. We're going right back to the beginning. We're going in depth of what White Lane, why we moved there, what it was used for during the war. We're looking at the wartime players as well. The First World War, I did research, and it was heartbreaking to see the ages of some of them players that actually died in the First World War that played for Tottenham. I'm talking about our first manager, John Cameron, all the managers up to 45, and then we're splitting it over three episodes.
Nice.
And then we've got lots of things coming up. We're going to do The King, the Queen, and the Godfather. That's coming up. We've got Ellie's Ladies Show, which we're going to get back into again. We're going to have our own little fan show on the Friday. Yeah, so we've got other things coming up. So looking forward to it. We're 7-2-1. So we're hoping. I want to get to 1,000 before the end of the season. That's my goal. And then once we reach 1,000, 10% of every super chat or membership will go to the charity as well. So we've linked them in with our channel. So we're going to start doing that. But thank you, Dave, for coming on. Jack, thank you for sharing it on Twitter, and you did a lot on Twitter as well. So it meant a hell of a lot. And thank you to everyone who came in, who donated, who helped, who did it. It meant a hell of a lot to me, and it really did. So I want to thank every single one of you, and from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank every one of you because it really meant a lot. And you've made a lot of mammies, Rangori, Wexford, Ireland, very happy. So thank you. From them, they say thank you, and I'm thanking you as well. So thank you.
Love you, Dermot, my man. We'll see you.
We'll see you again soon, brother.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon.
Talk to you soon, brother.
I'm off to go and find Paratici, buy him for a pint, and see if he gets a decent player. See you, lads.
See you, brother. Bye. Bye. Big up there. Everybody get over there, check it out, smash and subscribe on it.
Just Lazy 8 fan show member for 17 months, Dave, saying the Don wears Teflon suits. Says wears Teflon suits. Nothing gonna stick. 4 of you would be okay. Davies or Longley, Cootie in the back 4 to allow Richie at number 9 with Kane at number 10. So he's thinking I think he's talking about a back 4 maybe of Longley, Cootie, Romero, and maybe another. And then he also maybe is thinking about putting Kane as a number 10, Dave. I think he's with you on Kane as a number 10. And also Lazy 8, Dave, around for 17 months. Nick has been here as well. Wow. Absolute legend as well. And Nick, I think I'm missing the joke here, probably because I'm again, a bit slow here tonight, Nick, on the Teflon suits and the Don. But as always, you're a bit quicker than me, a bit more, clever than me on this one. But Dave, he's thinking about maybe dropping Kane back to the number 10.
Yeah, I just look at it. I just look at Harry Kane, Jack, and I think he's got to the point where he wants everything to feet. When he was running in behind and he's scoring all these goals, everyone says he's a great goal scorer. Can he do anything else? But since he started dropping back, picking up the ball, spraying it left, right, and centre, like De Bruyne-esque, he's now being put up into that real world-class sort of player. And I think he enjoys that adulation. I think he enjoys being there as well. I also don't think he looks back at anybody else behind him and says, well, what's the point of making a run? They're not going to find me. I only trust myself to deliver that final pass. But what that does then, it takes Kane out. When he delivers that final pass, and if it's a ball in behind out wide, there's no one breaking their bollocks through that middle to try and get on the end of it, which means there's no target in there. So it's, and also Harry Kane has got to the point where, for me, I think he's conserving his energy on the ball because he has to battle all the time. He doesn't want to be chasing down endless running across the back line, putting pressure on him. He doesn't want to be offering himself in behind. And when I look at Callum Wilson for England, he does offer himself in behind. There's a difference when Kane and Wilson is there. Now, the effects of having Kane dropping deep and picking up that ball is it does create space for a Kulu, for a Son either side, for him to play them in. But there's just no one breaking our balls to get in the middle. And even when you look at Kane, sometimes the ball's in good positions, good crossing positions. Like, okay, make your way across that penalty spot, get in front of your marker. And he's still standing out on the left-hand side. I just think it's come to a point where, and I said this ages ago, that when he does get older, I think you could drop him into a deeper role and let him start playing them passes. And I think it's probably coming to that point with the way football's going and everyone's pressing football and stuff like that. But Nick, also let me know where I can get a Teflon suit, my man.
The Don, that's what the Don wears. He also has a question lined up for the next guest as well, Dave, on the back four and whether maybe for the time being, while we're kind of lacking, maybe consistent and quality center backs, perhaps we think if Conte could maybe go with the back four, and would maybe we be okay with that? Good question, maybe for the next guest there, Nick, for sure. So we have that saved in the bank as well, my man.
Big up, Nick. Big up, my man. Just quickly, Jack, before we get on to the next guest, what's your thoughts on Martin Walton's question for Dermo with Maguire? Would you take him, Jacko? Not 80 million, of course. I wouldn't sanction 80 million, but if you maybe half that.
Not even half that. I think I would probably spend 10 million. I don't even know if I would really want Maguire for even 10 million. But if I were to swap just him and Moonhead, I think I might have Maguire instead. I think Maguire is probably slightly better on the ball. He does give it away a lot, though, in bad situations, I think, like Moonhead does. But he's much better from set pieces. He is still a huge threat from set pieces, and you can use him, especially with Gianni Vio. Imagine if he had someone like him to actually work with. I think that could actually be pretty effective. So I probably would take a Harry Maguire instead of a certain space helmet, Dave. But I don't really know if I'd go much beyond that. I don't really know if I would really pay much money for him or really any money at all for him. But if I had the opportunity to switch him in a space helmet, I think I would.
I actually think the way we set up and the way we play would suit someone like Maguire because he's not overly exposed. I think he's a lot better on the ball than Eric Dyer. I think he's a bit more composed. He's not afraid to run out with it if he needs to be. I think he's got a decent passing range. I think Jack's spot on. Gio Vio could definitely use him. I mean, England isolate him expertly where they kind of always push everyone to one area and isolate him at that back post sort of thing. And it works wonders for them at times. Is he the long-term solution? That's where I'm a bit hesitant. If we could get the player he was at Leicester, take him all day long. And I just question, look, at United, there's a lot of problems in there, a lot of problems in the dressing room. Ronaldo was fighting with Maguire for the captaincy. It's obviously affected his confidence. Is he a player that's just maybe waiting to get out of there, move on to the next club, and you will really see him progress? Well, we'll wait and see. But Martin, food for thought, my man. It's something I have to keep a bit of a closer eye on. Jack, I'm just going to fill up my Santa cup with some Ribena. I'll be back in 1 second. My trusty fridge is right beside me, so I won't be 1 second. But look, we'll keep moving, Jack.
I think it's KPV time. And Moondog also celebrating 12 months, saying, good evening, lads. We're winning the World Cup. And I'll be asking KBV real quickly while Davo is gone about that World Cup and about those chances. Mr. KPV, how are we?
I'm good.
What are your chances of winning the World Cup? Can we make Moondog happy and show him some confidence in the Three Lions? Do you think it's coming home?
Yeah, of course it is. I've been seeing some comments on the WhatsApp group chat is coming home, and why not? England, France have already played each other before. That was, I think, 7 years ago. England won 2-0. A screamer from Dele Alli and I believe a stunner from Wayne Rooney won 2-0. Kane and Lloris have already played each other. I think, yeah. So Kane knows Lloris' weaknesses. So, yeah, Saturday, excited. Last night, the atmosphere in the pub, England Senegal, was brilliant. The atmosphere was brilliant. I watched it, and yeah, like great win. Now Saturday, like I must say, Mbappe had a poor game yesterday. Like Ben and Sim said, he had a poor game, which he did, but he goes and score two stunning goals, and then Lloris saved Lewandowski's penalty, but Lloris done it again. He comes off his line as he's done against Leicester, and he does that again. But second time lucky for Robert Lewandowski, he just done a Jorginho and scored.
Kyle, I've seen Lloris throughout this tournament, and I'll be honest, he's not looking any more confident than he was at Spurs. Still looking a bit shaky, Hugo has. Are you starting to question him? Are you maybe thinking that Forster should maybe be given a start sooner rather than later when we kind of restart things again? I'm kind of thinking Hugo's still looking just as shaky, if not shakier. What are your thoughts?
Like, I'm not.
Am I being harsh on Hugo?
Nah, like, like, he is looking a bit shaky for France, but not for Tottenham. Like, maybe we should start Forster in the Brentford game, then Lloris starts against Villa and Arsenal. Obviously, you start Lloris in the big games, the North London derby, because this is the game you look forward to. That's on the 15th. And the good news is Gabriel Jesus is out for 3 months. Like, so he's going to miss the game because he hasn't scored a goal since we played them and we lost 3-1 at theirs. So, like, the good news is he's out for 3 months. He's going to miss it. So let's see what they do when they put Nketiah back up front, because he actually scored some goals for them towards the end of last season. So, but like,
wheels already coming off for the Gooner train, you think? Perhaps things already, maybe some of the luck that some of the bad luck we had, right? We had such poor luck with injuries over the beginning of the campaign. Perhaps maybe we're kind of giving them that bad luck. Now it's their turn, right, to suffer with a bit of injuries.
Yeah, it's their turn to suffer with injuries because Kulu missed the North London derby, and I believe Ellie said if he was in the starting lineup for Spurs, then we would have been beating them by then. But
yeah,
like I said to everyone, Kulu has never lost the North London derby because he's like Thierry Henry. He never lost the North London derby, so Kulu's never lost it. So who says he's going to lose? He's never lost. So people and Bentancur and Højbjerg, like, watch those four score in that game. Kane and Son obviously loved that game. Kane's got 14 and Son only has 4. So the record keeps on coming for the big men. So Kane's gonna score again. Like,
is he gonna break Rooney's record against France? Or not? Is it Rooney's?
Yeah, it's Rooney, mate. Yeah,
and the all-time England record, right? He's chasing that against France as well.
Yeah, he's only got 52. Like, thanks to Paul for letting me know that. Paul, cheers for that. 52. So if he scores 2 Saturday, that'll be 54. Then he'll be ahead. So hopefully Kane can break it. And like France, they've not gone out the group stages since 2002. They lost to Senegal, and like teams who won the World Cup have gone out of the groups, like Germany did. The last one they just lost. They gone out again, and so and Kai Havertz is not happy because he got the Man of Match trophy. That's not the one he wanted. Well, cry more, mate. Cry more.
Kyle,
good to see a Chelsea. Good to see a Chelsea man, without a smile in that situation. Exactly what you want to see. Good to see Jerome in the house as well. And I bet you're proud of those Aussies, Jerome. Absolutely had a good showing for themselves. The Aussies proved a lot of people wrong, including myself. In fact, Jerome, I really doubted you guys kind of going into this tournament. Proved me well wrong. Ate a bit of Aussie humble pie. Let me know what's in that humble pie. But KPV, kind of on Spurs, we're kind of talking about, the investigations, on Paratici today. I did ask, the people before, let's say Paratici, he ends up, the FBI comes to his house, KPV, they swarm in, the helicopters are coming in for Paratici. He's no longer at Spurs anymore. Would you be kind of sad to see him go? Would you be kind of happy to see him go? What would you make of maybe the job he's done so far?
I'd be upset to see him go because, like, there's no one better than him. Because look at the person I think it was Hitchin left this summer. He left because he didn't do great. The players he brought in, they weren't doing good enough. And, like, I'll be upset if he goes. And I hear that the Romero deal has something to do with Juventus. Like, Matt Hayes put on Twitter, that has nothing to do with us. We bought him from Atalanta, not Juventus. Like, we didn't buy him from Juventus. Like, are they taking the Schmeichel or taking the piss? Seriously. Juventus, yeah, they loaned him out to Atalanta. That was years ago, but we bought him from Atalanta. Like, I believe this season before he was voted as the best centre back, and yeah, he was voted as the best. Like, are they?
I think they're just jealous of that deal. It was just such a good deal by the Don there that they're just looking for something fishy with it, maybe in that situation, because they're all jealous of Romero. KPV,
like, yeah, they're probably jealous of him, and like the whole Juventus board have resigned. Nedved, a former Czech Republic player, an icon of the Nedved, yeah, very good player. Like, he's an icon. Like, yeah, brilliant player for the country with Paratici and everyone. But they've resigned. So I've been saying to people, go and get Brian Daigle's twin brother Bonucci, who I think I know is 33 or 37, but I actually would like him.
He's out in MLS now, isn't he? Is he not only recently moved out to
Chiellini, yeah. Chiellini's gone there, yeah. He's gone.
Oh yeah, Chiellini, yeah, you're right.
Dave, would you take a Bonucci? Would you, like, speaking of the old, could he be like a Thiago Silva, KPV Bonucci? Could he kind of come into this Premier League and show that age doesn't really mean anything and be that leader?
Nah, Adam, that won't affect, because, like, that wouldn't affect Kulu signing permanently, my man. Like, I'd like Bonucci and Romero centre-back partnership. Like, I think the Premier League has seen some great partnerships over the last decade. Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Rio, and Vidic. But, like, I wouldn't mind Bonucci and Romero, because they could, I think, do the business. Like, but I would like Bonucci because he knows where the net is. He knows how to defend, and like, why not? Bonucci,
and he's Brian Daigle's twin brother, like you said, which then we know we can trust him in the back line.
Brian Daigle looks like him because he's the one who scored in the Euro 2020 final. He scored in Euro 2016 against Germany from the penalty spot, like when they conceded a pen, but then he missed it in a shootout a couple of hours later. But Bonucci,
everybody thought Cucurella looked like Daigle though, and he hasn't done too well. So should we go for all the Daigle lookalikes, or is this the right Daigle lookalike?
This is the right Daigle lookalike, Bonucci. Because I'd go for Bonucci because, like, he won the Euros. Like, they didn't win every single game. They drew and got us, like, beat us in the final. But, like, now that he's the captain of the Italian team and the Juventus team, like, I don't know what, Premier, whatever their name is, was on FIFA 19. They weren't called Juventus. They were called Premier, whatever the name was. But
stop.
Yo,
when's your own channel coming on, man? When are you doing your own channel?
I want to start because I think I've got it on YouTube already. I can just click on a picture and it will say it, and I'll send it to everyone. It's called what? KPV. We are Tottenham on Tour TV. We are Tottenham on Tour TV.
Using my tagline, the one you put in the group chat earlier on. Yes, guys, you got time to sit your by KPV.
That's what I use, my man. That's what I use. Yeah, like
you're a shithouse, KPV. You're a shithouse. I love it.
Shithousery, like with Charlton against Nottingham Forest. Like shithousery, doing some showboating and people moaning, like Didier Harman, former Liverpool player, moaning, and Richarlison just replied to cry more. Like, everyone can cry more. Germany, Uruguay. I hear there's people opening investigations to that, but I don't give a shit about Uruguay. No offense, Bentancur. I just don't give a shit about Cavani and the others. Moaning they should have had a penalty. Who gives a shit about that country? Like, Ghana revenge after happening in 2010. Like, just they didn't knock him out. They didn't knock him out. They lost, but Uruguay basically won. But like, unlucky boys. There's always the next World Cup in 2026, which I'm going all the way out to Canada to watch it.
Hopefully, I'll be saying the same to you after the France game, KPV, that, you know, you can look forward to 2026. But look, my man, how are we going to sign off today? Who's letting the dogs out?
You and Jack already let them out. So who else is there? Can I mention? Ellie
someone
and
who
Mia.
can let them out for England. Who's letting them out for England? Who can you trust?
Ellie and Mia. Ellie and Mia let the dogs out.
Nice.
Ellie and Mia who let the dogs out. Yeah, and yeah. So, but
nice KPV, good man.
Going to score again, but yeah, Bellingham, brilliant assist, and Henderson goal. But Saturday, excited. I'll be heading into the pub again, 7 p.m. Leaving here around 6:30 or 7:15. So I'll be leaving here, going to the pub.
Be late, KPV. You want to leave a bit earlier. You don't want to be late, my man.
Yeah, I know. I want to leave early. People spilled their drink last night when I went to the pub, and yeah. So, and everyone, look forward to Valentine's Day. Tell your partners, do not spend time when Spurs are playing. So make sure you go to Milan and watch Tottenham, because unfortunately, Hoy Basket or Zinedine Salzburg is suspended for that, but he will be available for the second leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And we've never lost to them because we actually have a good record. So everyone who's going to the San Siro, be careful out there, because you could get in trouble. But
you might get arrested for Paratici's problems out there, KPV. You know, Tottenham fans, just arrest them all. You never know. But my man, KPV, sign out. How do you usually do it? Show them on.
All right. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready? Break it down. In 3, 2, 1. Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Yeah. Legend, Triple H, DJ Generation X. Are you ready?
Love it, KPV.
KPV, watching.
I've got some quizzes coming up, so I will be in contact because I need you on my team, my man. All right?
Yeah.
Big up, man. We'll see you again soon. We'll let you go and watch the wrestling.
Yeah, that'll be in an episode. Yeah. So I'm off to listen to Glory Tottenham Hotspur and just to watch the highlights of the game against Ajax in Amsterdam. So that's the only thing that can make me happy, but that's all I'm going to say. So, and we'll see you all on Friday before England smack France. And one more thing before I go. The good news is I finished top of bet, mate, on the £15 one. I won £15. Ben didn't know because I beat him to it. So he wasn't in, but I finished top. So Benji, you lost, pal. You can't beat your partner, Ash. You can't beat me, mate. So you did, Brony. Know your role and shut your mouth, mate. Come on, in Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust. We'll see you soon, KPV. Calling out shots.
All right, later.
Everybody, big up KPV in the chat. What an absolute legend. Absolute legend. Big up, guys. He's a great character. Excited about England and France, as you can tell. It'd be interesting to see how it goes. Jerome says, so with Paratici, this is true then. I thought it was rumors again. Also, Malinowski deal is off now. 100% it's true, Jerome. There's wiretaps, there's leaked WhatsApp messages. But what I will say to you, my man, he is not the only one implicated in this. The whole Juventus squad who accepted the money, they came out publicly and signed this thing for public purposes, saying they were going to take a wage decrease and not take some wages. But behind the scenes, they knew they were going to be paid up. So they're no excuse because they haven't paid tax on that money. Juve cooked their books, which they're on the stock exchange, which you're not allowed to do. Basically, they balanced their books illegally, so they're in trouble. And they're blaming everything on Paratici and basically saying he cooked it all up the scheme. He's been he's wasted all the money at Juve because they're coming under investigation by Juve, saying he wasted all the money, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, he delivered them trophies, which is what they want. So and basically, they're just putting everything on him. Like, no one's talking about Agnelli, Nedved. I mean, They resigned. It's admission of guilt.
Yeah, that's a very good point at the end too. Is that Paratici, when at Juventus, has had basically nothing really but success in a lot of ways, especially when they're with Antonio Conte and with other managers there. He's been actually quite successful and has had a lot of brilliant signings, maybe some questionable ones, as every director of football has, but he's also had some amazing signings for the likes of Juventus, and even the ones that we actually have been benefits of that have been his own scouting. In the case of Kulusevski, he brought over to Juventus. He brought Romero over to Juventus. He brought over the likes of Chiesa and whatnot as well. So the guy does have a very good eye for talent and has made Juventus a whole lot better in his time period there. So what I would say, Jerome, as well to Paratici is that, I don't know. I think if it is going to be blamed all on him, I think that is just probably more admission to Nedved and Agnelli probably, let's say, not wanting to take any blame themselves and trying to put it all on Paratici and maybe to take a bit of the pressure off themselves. With the Malinowski deal being done, it is kind of an interesting one. I feel like it did sort of look like it could be done, or it looked like it was one that was definitely on the cards for Spurs. It looked like he was going to be that alternative to Kulusevski that could possibly play through the middle / be able to play on the right wing. Maybe it's going to be Mohamed Kudus. We have looked at Mohamed Kudus as well. He can also kind of sort of play through the middle and also play on the right wing and is a left-footed player. But it did look like, according to Fabrizio Romano, that we are looking at a variety of different players at this moment in time, kind of for that sort of alternative to Kulusevski on the right wing there, Jerome. So that's all I can report on. I'm not too maybe heartbroken about missing out on Malinowski, but I do feel like we do need some sort of alternative this January. And Malinowski, I think, was probably a realistic sort of option, maybe not the most glamorous of choices, but a very realistic choice for us that I wouldn't have been too disappointed by. But now we can maybe see if we can go after something slightly better, something maybe even, let's say, more talented than a Malinowski at that sort of right wing position. But big up, Jerome. I appreciate the support, my man. Like I said, ate a bit of that Australian humble pie. But let's bring on the last two guests of the evening. I think it's Ryan next, Dave, and then we're going to finish off with Michael, the man of the podcast.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's keep it moving. And if there's anybody, because I know people save the link and stuff like that. If there's anybody that has saved the link and waiting to maybe come on, get in the back end now. That's what I said to you. Just get in the back end now. But look, let's get on. Ryan. All right, you've had a haircut, my man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm just doing my normal thing at the moment. Still trying to work on, because, every email you've sent to me, Dave, yeah. I don't know if you've had any, hang on, Jack, I'll come to you in a sec. You know the emails you said you've been sending over to me?
Yeah, I've responded.
I haven't got any of them. I haven't got any of them.
Right, well, I tell you what, email me again tomorrow, my man, and I'll try and sort it out. I'll see what the problem is.
Yeah, because I know Jack's. I've had one email from Jack, and I know Jack's probably been busy watching the Yanks doing the bits out. So he's probably been a bit busy trying to. He's been probably a bit too busy to reply. But if you need to, just get the email from Jack. It'll probably be easier that way, probably.
Yeah, I'll do that. Maybe I'm going wrong somewhere. But look, what do you think on the Paratici saga, Ryan?
Well, actually, this is the first time I've heard of it because I've been so intrigued with the World Cup. So this is like the first I've heard of it, actually, Dave, to be honest.
Well, from what I've said of it, what's your thoughts on it, my man?
It's a bit of a joke, to be honest, isn't it? They're just using him as a scapegoat, in my opinion. Because you know what? Like, what really gets on my back is when you use someone who's not even there as a scapegoat, who can't even defend themselves.
Maybe that's why they picked Paratici, though. Maybe they feel like he's away from it all and he can't defend himself. Is that right? Maybe they know that he can't really fire back.
Yeah. And it's a joke, to be honest. I don't see how that's fair in any way, shape, or form on him.
No,
I think
definitely
it's an easy target because they probably know he can't speak out why he's at Spurs. You know what I mean? Like he can't come out do a press conference or anything like that. And I think it's just easy to blame the guy that's not there anymore. You know what I mean? To try and save face with the fans, this, that, and the other. I think that's what it all comes down to. Some of them trying to salvage their reputation to the fan base.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100%.
Come here, Ryan. We've got a couple of questions here. King Hoddle says, Dumfries, would he be good enough for our first choice right wing back?
Well, I'd take anybody at the moment, to be honest. Anybody would be a first choice over what we've already got, personally. So yeah, I'd take him. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm just not. Jack, is he really better than Emerson in your opinion?
It feels like maybe going forward and maybe showing up with the goals, he might be, Ryan. Because what I've noticed about Dumfries is that he arrives at that back post for some of those crosses, maybe a bit better than maybe an Emerson does, or at least he can finish them maybe better than Emerson does. But at the same time, there are a lot of people like Martin and a lot of other people who know plenty about Inter Milan and know plenty about the Serie A, who get to see Dumfries on a more regular occasion other than just these international tournaments. And they say he's actually a bit clumsy on the ball. He gives it away a lot, can be a bit sort of kind of awkward in possession, which is exactly what we've maybe complained about with some of our other right backs in the past, including Emerson. So it's a confusing one because I feel like Dumfries, he might be better, I think, than Emerson, especially going forward and getting the goals. But is he going to be putting in the delivery that we've been asking for from right wing back? Maybe not so. Is he going to be skinning past his man on every occasion like we want him to? I'm not really sure. I don't think he'll be doing that. Maybe he'll be a slight improvement, but I'm not sure if he'll be a total improvement. And there are a lot of people who seem to know a bit about the Serie A that aren't big fans of Dumfries, which I think is a bit of a, I don't know, that's an alarm for me, or that's a red flag for me too.
Yeah, but I mean, Jack, don't you think though, yeah, right, talking about Dumfries, yeah, right, he's going on to where you're saying everyone's complaining and saying about the he's the defending part or whatever you just said. I can't remember now.
I think they say he gives it away a lot and he's a bit clumsy in possession, I think is what's
that's the bit, right? But then so is Emerson, but the difference is with him and Emerson is at least he delivers an attack where Emerson doesn't, in my opinion anyway. I don't know if Dave agrees with me on that or not.
I think
Dumfries is an interesting one. I just think, he turns up for Holland. He's had 2 good campaigns, but you don't hear anything about him, you know, in between them international competitions, and that's a concern for me. Like signing players off a good international competition is not the way to go, because some players just the immense pride representing their national team can make them do things they can't normally do on a consistent basis. And I just think, is Dumfries the answer to right wing back? I'm not so sure. I think it's time we put an end to this saga and went and addressed it 100% properly in the summer transfer window with a world-class right wing back. Why should we take another gamble on another player when you don't know if it's going to work out? We've been doing that for far too long, in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's where I'm up with that, my man. But look, what do you think? What are you hoping for this transfer window? What improvements do you want made to this squad?
Well, I said it in the summer, and I'm just going to keep. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again. I might as well talk to Paratici, because I might get more sense out of him than out of a brick wall.
Well, we're his agents, so you'll have to come through us, my man.
Well, that's fine then. Well, I'll tell you then, Dave. Yeah, and you go on and tell Paratici for me. Yeah,
I've got him on speed dial. All I've got to do is press 1. I'm on through to the Fabio Paratici's hotline.
We'll tell him we need 2 defenders who can actually keep the ball and actually play out from the back.
No, I will, my man. But look, how's the progress on the channel? Have you got the YouTube page up and running? Have you got any videos coming up?
Yeah, the thing is it's kind of up and running, but it's not fully yet, if it makes sense, because I've now got the idea of what I kind of want. It's going to be along the lines of literally just having people on when after every not after every game, but like literally like either a game the day before a game and then or the day after a game. And have like things in the middle, like talking about what people would really want, like throughout the January summers and the summers.
Yeah.
Then like literally, because that's what I'm going to be doing in January anyway. Starting of January, from probably January the 1st. So that's what's going to be hitting out straight away. Yeah.
Well, look, best of luck with it, my man. Best of luck with it. Well, look, anything else you want to speak about before we let you go, brother?
Well, there's been so much I'd like to talk about, but obviously I've only got like a short amount of time.
Take it away. What do you want to talk about? You've got plenty of time to talk.
Yeah. Now, do you know what? It's kind of interesting, Dave. Do you remember when I said I wanted to see Moon Boots come up against Mbappe?
Yeah.
Oh, that could actually happen now. In a couple of days, can it?
I'm not sure Gareth Southgate's that stupid, to be honest.
Well, I don't know, because like literally he was stupid enough to bring him on last game, weren't he? For like half an hour or so.
Yeah, true.
It wouldn't surprise me, and I might actually still get my wish, except unfortunately it's going to be me sitting behind my sofa for the next 120 minutes probably, hoping that he doesn't make a mistake.
I won't. I'll be lying on my couch waiting for the upset. I can't wait.
Oh, I'd love to see that happen though, Dave, to be honest. Not going to lie. If we actually go and beat France, this is a bold prediction, but I'm calling this now, right? To all England fans, if you agree with me on this, if we beat France, we are winning the World Cup, and it is coming home.
There you are. You heard it there, folks. Everybody, you don't have to worry any longer after you beat the French.
You might want to fill the void with a Toblerone chocolate bar or something, because it's definitely not the World Cup trophy, right?
Well, not yet. It's not anyway. But I mean, Moon Boots did play alright though, like for some parts. But it's the same old thing with Moon Boots. He has a good half an hour, and then I just hope Southgate doesn't just fall in. I hope he doesn't fall into that trap, but I can probably see that now happening. And against Mbappe, of all people, I can see it happening. And do you know what? It'll be really interesting to see how he deals with Mbappe.
Not very well, to be honest. Mbappe left the ball in the back of the net, and Dyer will still be spinning around, blaming people, pointing the finger. I actually, to be honest with you, Ryan, I actually hope he comes up against Mbappe, because probably really highlight how shit he is, to be honest with you. And then hopefully a lot of Spurs fans wake up to him. But anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
Like January, going back onto January again. I know we've already covered this a little bit, but the two defenders, because I know you wanted my wish list, didn't you? Actually, for who I'd like to put in. If you remember on the last on the last time we spoke, obviously bringing John Stones again and again and again. It's got to be John Stones, and then do you know what? It's actually that scary to think, but I would just have any half decent. Who's better than Moon Boots to come in and actually just do a good enough job? Another Lenglet type player would be perfect. I can't obviously name who that other person could be, because I haven't got the clue who the other Lenglet type player is. But I just want another Lenglet type player and John Stones, and I will be happy with that.
I'm with that.
I'm with
that. I'm with like another Longley. I would love to have another just sort of dependable center back, another steady Eddie type center back that's still good on the ball. Not sure with John Stones, but I kind of think in principle that is a proven center back to a degree, and that is kind of the right idea, is going after somebody that can be a proven center back, experienced, and can lead that defense, kind of hitting some of the markers.
Do you think, Dave, you'll be able to push the John Stones deal through for us then, will you?
We'll chat to Don. We'll chat to the Don. We'll chat to the Don.
Look, I'll send him the request. I'm not sure it's going to happen though, Ryan. Actually, sorry, update. He's just texted me. He said, "Dave, I'm watching. I'm loving the Paratici twins tonight." But he says no. Look, John Stones isn't going to happen, unfortunately, Ryan.
Damn. Well, if he can come up with some other good ideas.
If he come up with a list of 5 names, I said send them on to him, and he'll let me know what the seal of approval is.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get. Are you still? Is it back to a normal routine now, then, Dave? Now with the fan shows?
Yeah,
now?
more or less. Do you know what it is, Ryan? It's just hard trying to find the right time with all the World Cup games going on. Some in the day, some in the night time. It's just trying to find that slot. But also, there hasn't been any news out because half of our team have been at the World Cup, and the other half have been on break. So fuck all. But now that the World Cup is starting, I wouldn't say slow down a bit, but there's not as many games every single day. I think you'll start seeing maybe what our January plans are and all that sort of stuff working up. Because at the end of the day, like we're not here just to like pluck things out of thin air and stuff like that. You know, we like to deal with things that are actually out there and stuff like that. But Ryan, big yourself up, my man. I'm going to speak again soon.
Catch you, brother.
Yeah. All right. Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs.
See you, Ryan.
See you, my man. Peace. Big up, Ryan. I do apologise to anyone's eardrums and send the bill to Ryan Trestan. He'll pay for it. Nick, I haven't forgot about your question. I'm going to lead into Michael with that, my man, so do not worry about that. Jerome says we need a centre-back and right wing-back minimum in January. Jerome, you're not going to like me, my man, because I said, look, I want 2 defenders in here, probably another body in that forward area. I just think we'll get away with right wing back for the season, to be honest with you. Look, if we can get 4 in here in January, I'll accept it. Is it going to happen? I'm not so sure. But for me, it's definitely centre-backs and maybe an extra body in that forward line, Jack. Where are you at with this?
Jerome, I see us getting a right wing back if we move on Spence this January. If we're able to get him on a loan, and also if we could move on an Emerson or a Doherty as well. This January. I'm not sure if that's possible to bring to move on 2 of them, but ideally you would, and then that way you probably have all the freedom in the world to go after any kind of right wing back you want. Kind of the problem is right now, Jerome, is that I think we actually do have to, and Levy probably loves hearing me say this, but we kind of do have to sell, or we kind of do have to move on certain players before we do bring in a right wing back. We're just too full in that department. We have 4 or 3 at the moment that we kind of have technically to choose from really over in that position. So that just shows that you need to move on some in order to bring some in. I'm with you. I think a lot of our problems right now do kind of stem from right wing back, but it is kind of unfortunate that we can't just immediately look throughout the transfer market in order to find the right player. We have to also kind of think about which players do we want to move on in order to bring that right wing back in. Center back, I think it's an absolute must. I don't think there's really anything stopping us or anything holding us back. We do need to move on Sanchez and or Tanganga too. I'm not sure if that will really be too hard though, especially with Tanganga. I think he is probably going to be headed somewhere in January. So we do need to get a center back. I think Indica, players like that are probably more possible this January window. The Bastonis and the Gavardials, I don't think are possible at all this January window. We would have to wait till the summer. So it's finding the right sort of center back this January. Do we go after a younger, more unproven one, or do we go after kind of an experienced veteran, kind of maybe for a cheaper price, kind of like a DeVry or a Bonucci or something like that? But right wing back is tricky too, Jerome. It's tricky, my man.
I actually think you raise a very good point there, Jack, because look, it's well and good just saying we need right wing back, but not many people are thinking this club ain't going to carry 4 right wing backs from January to the end of the season.
Can't have 5 right wing backs you don't want in the books.
Yeah.
Like that's just it's just not realistic.
You're looking at it, either Doherty, Emerson have to go, and even if he puts Jed Spence on loan, still one of Emerson or Doherty have to be shipped on before I envision the club bringing in one. So I think you're spot on with the centre back. I think it'd be more easier to shift one of them. But I actually think you raise a very good point there, Jacko. To be fair, very, very good point, and food for thought. I think it is food for thought. But big up, Jerome, my man.
A lot of cleaning for Paratici. A lot of cleaning for Paratici that needs to be done there, Jerome. A lot of cleaning still needs to be done.
A hell of a lot of cleaning, but big up, Jerome, my man. It's great to see you back.
Also, KPV celebrating 8 months, Dave, saying England will beat France. Kane will break Wayne Shrek Rooney's record. England this weekend. See you Friday, lads. Come on, the 3 Lions. Come on, you Spurs. Pick yourself up, KPV. He's already, I thought, broken Wayne Rooney's record. Is that actually not already happened yet? Is he still waiting to do so?
I think it's Wayne Rooney's record at international competitions, I think. But he's ahead of England on the all-time scoring record. You're correct there. He's just waiting to overtake. Is it Charlton? Football. Is it Charlton? I think I'm not sure. I'm guessing there. But Dermo says we will be successful. We'll rise to the top because we are the Tottenham Hotspur, the pride of North London. We will rise. We will rise. We will win. We are Spurs. Big up, Dermo. Absolutely love that, my man. All ready for the pain again from the 26th onwards, my man. But big up, Dermotron. Really appreciate that, my man. It's a nice message just to keep people, just so people know we are going to rise again. Big up, Dermotron. And then Jerome says, what are your views on Spence? I am baffled as why we sign him if he's not going to play. Look, I like Spence. I think there's a player in there. He was sort of turfed to the side at Middlesbrough. Who was it at the time? What's that owl looking like? He used to manage Hodgson. I think it was Hodgson. Kind of said, look, I didn't favour him. There's problems there, whatever. Went off to Middlesbrough, ended up getting into the championship team of the season. Also got into the England underage setup. A lot of clubs around Europe tracking this guy. Look, is it another situation? End on belly, all these clubs tracking this guy, but there's something going on there that they kind of all pulled out, and that's why he's at Tottenham. I'm not so sure that's the case. Maybe I think it's something that maybe we should look into or try and look at. But I don't think it is the case. From my research on Spence, there doesn't seem to be any of that. From what I gather and from what I've seen his mother say, he works hard, he stays back after training. He's always been the last one to move from his youth club. So he worked hard to get that into a professional setup. Last one to get his contract prolonged every single season. But yet he's still here in the professional game. And the way I look at it is it seems like the guy definitely has the hunger and a desire to succeed. But it wasn't Conte's signing. We knew this when he came in the door. It's one that club identified for the future and one that they're looking to develop and stuff like that. And look, Conte just doesn't want to throw him in there. He feels he's not ready. And look, as much as we don't like it, I think sometimes you've got to respect it. He's done this to bigger names than Spence, by the way, when he took over at Chelsea. Fabregas was dropped until he got up to A, standards with the tactics, and B, until he would done what Conte wanted him to do. They signed Christian Eriksen at Inter Milan. We were talking about London back in January because he wasn't in the team, because he had to start doing what Conte wanted him to do and get up to date with tactics. So it's one of them. It just could take a bit of time, Jerome, my man.
Yeah, I think it could just take a bit of time. It's been quite obvious. It was a bit of a Daniel Levy signing. Had it maybe been more of a Paratici signing, you'd like to think that maybe then this guy would be probably being played a whole lot more, the likes of Jed Spence. But I don't know. I think it's just, I just think the club have gotten it wrong because they needed to sign a right wing back this last summer. They did sign a right wing back in Jed Spence, but the right wing back they signed, they haven't used at all. And it seemed like the manager doesn't want to use, which then just kind of breeds a bit of it's just kind of a bit of a failure. Let's be honest, because it wasn't really a position that we were looking to be patient for, let's say, this kind of a summer. We wanted that guy to come in straight away and be challenging, and he just simply hasn't, which is a huge miss. Definitely, Jerome. Yeah.
Big up, Jerome. Really appreciate the support, brother. It's great to see you back, my man. Great to see you back. But look, let's get on, Michael. And Nick's in the back end. Nick's coming in the back end. Look forward to speaking to Nick. Michael, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, all well. You know, I wanted to say that I'm devastated that Poland got knocked out, but let's be honest, we weren't doing anything against France. But to be fair, I think we actually, like, I think we put up a fight, which
Yeah, you played a lot
honest,
more. You actually
yeah,
opened up the floodgates and opened a lot more progressive against France all of a sudden.
yeah, like I don't want to bore you guys with all the Polish talk, right? Just quickly, I will summarize it. There was a lot of like negativity towards how we played in the group stages here in Poland, around fans, journalists, and
I
all
was
that
guilty
stuff.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it was obvious, right? We played so defensive, we played so negatively, especially against Argentina, right? And they just rolled over us. So it was tough, but the manager himself came out after Argentina and said we progressed. We will have to open up a lot more to try to attempt to beat France. We didn't do it, but to be honest, with my expectations for this World Cup were at least get out of the group for the first time in 36 years. They did that. I think they showed what they can do against France. France are of course much better than us and always will be probably with how football is in this country. So yeah, like I honestly have finished this match and I turned around to my girlfriend and said, "Yeah, well played. Like I'm proud. I'm happy. I could watch a good game, right?" So
Well, what I'm
yeah,
saying, Michael, is at least you were there. At least you were there. Unlike me, I'm having to try and do it from a neutral perspective. Not quite as fun. So, even though maybe you might be a bit disappointed that you're knocked out, take solace that you were part of the party, my man.
yeah.
But look, we're going to kick you off with Nick's question here, and then I want to get your thoughts on Paratici after. But he says, "Here's a question for the guest: Would you be comfortable with a back four with Davies / Langley on the left and with Romero on the right?"
I mean, not really, but I listen. I see why people want us to try to go to a back four, because
Yeah,
like we all say that the definition of contest system is wingbacks, and our wingbacks are bad. So basically, you either improve the wingbacks or get rid of them, and
yeah.
going to a back four is kind of getting rid of them, right? Because
Or
right back.
this is also a way to get rid of not playing Dyer or Sanchez as well, I think, too, right? Maybe two birds with one stone. Don't have to play the wingbacks and don't have to play Sanchez or Dyer, right?
Yeah, like as I said, I see why people want us to try it. But again, there is the counter argument that if you bring a manager like Conte, allow him the tools and the freedom of playing the style that he wants. And he's always been playing a back three, right? Pretty much always,
Yeah,
right? I know there were
yeah.
some spells where he was attempting to play back four, but this is something that worked for him. So, in my opinion, we should give him the tools to play that. And honestly, if you look at it, there is like what two matches before the transfer window opens. So if we attempt to work like we did in the summer window, I think that we can like not necessarily fix this, but patch up the defense enough for us to be more confident in a back three, right? So yeah, it depends, but would I want us to try it out? I guess I would. The only problem is that Jacko said that it would avoid playing Dyer and Sanchez at all, right? But also Langley in back four at Barca was horrific. They wanted him out, right? I also, as far as I remember, Romero played a back three system in Atalanta, so he's also used to playing a back three, right? So, and whenever Davies was playing under Pochettino, I know he was mainly playing left back, not the
Jose
left-sided
tried him in
center
that
back, right?
position, didn't he? And
Yeah,
it didn't really work out.
yeah, and it didn't really work out. The issue is that I think that our players are too specific to their roles. I think
Yeah.
that Davies is enough of a good left-sided center back, but I don't think in a back three. But I don't think he will be good enough in a back two, in my opinion. And I have similar like issues, in my opinion, with other center backs. So I would probably want to avoid it. But
Do you think this is something that Conte is probably considering, though, this like break? Like, is Conte looking at over this break like some dramatic change that maybe he could work on? Like, maybe it not be the back four. Maybe he's thinking about maybe experimenting more with 3-man midfields or like something like that. I don't know. Do you think there is maybe something going on with Conte where he's thinking about some sort of dramatic change tactically when coming back into the season?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Just quickly, Mike, I know it's your question, but I'm chomping at the bit here.
No worries. No worries.
Look, for me, I think it's wishful thinking and a bit naive to think that Conte is going to switch to a back four anytime soon. I see where Nick is getting at. Romero does play a back four for Argentina, looks okay there in the back four, but my point is you don't bring in someone like Antonio Conte for his system, his style of playing, which has brought him trophies, and then ask him to come to an unsuccessful club and switch it up for what we demand as fans that hasn't brought us success. I don't agree with it. I think if you're bringing in someone like Conte, you bring in players for his system. That's the only way you're going to get success. He hasn't got success in the back four. He has success in the back five. So I just think it's very wishful thinking and naive. Do I like the back five? I don't. I stated that to you, Jack, when I knew Conte was coming in, that I'm not a fan of the back five. I think it is a bit more offensive. I would prefer to play a back four. But I'm not going to sit here and demand for Conte to play that back four when he hasn't done it, and it's not where he's had success.
Sure.
You bring a successful manager to an unsuccessful club. It's up to you to provide him the tools he needs to replicate what he's done at other clubs, which is what you hired him for, which is his CV. It's up to you to build that here.
Sure. Absolutely right. Michael, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think he could be experimenting with something kind of over this break? Like, could he be thinking about a back four? Could he be thinking about 3-man midfield? I don't know, 2 guys up front like Kane and Richie, maybe dropping Kane into the number 10. Is there some sort of kind of crazy tactical thing he might be sort of thinking about switching to over this break?
I don't really think that he is that type of a manager, in my opinion. I don't like when people say that he's so rigid that he never changes formation. We've seen this season that he actually played 3 to 4 different formations on different occasions, depending on the game state, right? But I think that his default formation will always be either a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. And with the profile of players that we have at our team, I think that the 3-4-3 is the best one that we can use to utilize the amazing talent that we have up front, right? So, and also, I want to somewhat connect this whole talk about back three and back four to what we play, to how we played at the World Cup, the Poland team, right?
Yeah, you guys play back five.
Yeah. Not actually this tournament. We I think always played the back four. But what I wanted
for
to
Koviak would drop into the middle or something.
But mainly what I want to say is that we played extremely defensively against Argentina, right? And we got the team and the manager got a lot of criticism for it. But people were saying that we shouldn't play defensive. We should play an attacking, amazing, tiki-taka football, whatever, right? And it seems to me like people forget that between playing extremely defensively and going apeshit at the front, there is the whole spectrum between, right? And you can play a defensive-minded formation, but be fluent in attack. And I think this is how we played against France, and we all loved it, right? Even though we got slapped by France, I think that the performance that we put out was, for at least for the first 45 minutes, was solid defensively, but we actually also threatened on the attack, right? So whereas as you David said, I'm not really the biggest fan of a back three or five, whatever you want to call it, right? Because it requires you to have extremely specified players for that specific position, right? I think that back fours are way more flexible, not only in terms of formation, but also in terms of what players you can bring, because most teams on the planet play a back four, not a back five, right? So, but I think that a back three or back five can be progressive, can be attacking whenever you choose to do so, right? So
It could be attacking if you just learn to keep the ball. You could keep the ball. There's this notion that it's impossible to keep possession when you play the formation we play. It's not.
No,
it's not. It's just, unfortunately, when it goes to Dyer, either goes back to the opposing goalkeeper, into the stands, or to a player in the opposition shirt. When it goes to Emerson or Doherty, tends to happen the same. Session, same the other side. Back to Reese's feet, the same tends to happen. And it's down to the quality of the players. The system will work,
exactly.
And you can keep possession. And once you keep possession, you're naturally on the front foot anyway, right? Because you have the ball, they're chasing you. So you can't play better football in this formation. Just bring the players in. Just bring the players. Finish off the job now and bring the players in them final positions that we need to bring them in so that we can start playing a bit better going forward. We'll take this from Jerome, and then I want to get on to Paratici, Michael. Jack, Jerome says Davies has shown that he's not good enough even during the World Cup, which I agree. So no, I would not feel comfortable with a back four with him in it, even Langley.
Yeah, I don't think Davies. I think he's spot on, Michael. Jerome, when saying that Davies is a specialized, kind of defender. He's either. I don't really think he's a left back anymore. I don't think he could ever really serve as a fullback any longer. He is a kind of a very unique sort of specialized type center back where he plays a very, very specific, unique role in a back three type system as a left-sided center back. He can really only play one position, and he can be a bit of a steady Eddie, I think, kind of in that position. I think he's sort of proven that in comparison to likes of Moonhead and Sanchez. He's actually probably shown a bit of distance between himself and those two, but in this World Cup, like you say, he's also let himself down. I think Joe Rodon really let himself down. And Ben Davies sort of quality or lack of quality is sort of shining through. I think his mistakes still shine through, and his lack of quality is still going to shine through. The issue I think we find ourselves in, though, is that Davies is going to probably stick around for the time being because he has, I think, in my personal opinion, been less of an issue for the time being than Dyer and Sanchez have been. I think Davies is going to continue to probably show that he is no longer or has probably never really been good enough for Spurs. But this is sort of kind of how it works. Is like, which players would you get rid of first? You probably get rid of Moonhead and Sanchez first. Then you would get rid of Davies. And Davies, maybe to his own credit, I don't even know. I can't believe I'm giving someone credit for this, but has somehow found a way to maybe make it quite obvious that he is at least better than I think Dyer and Sanchez, and he doesn't need to do a whole lot to do that. I think, Jerome, like, we're not really asking for much. He basically just needs to be a basic defender, but I don't know. His lack of quality has shown through in the World Cup. At the same time, though, I think he is going to probably keep his spot in the Spurs squad for the time being, alongside Longley. But as a back four member, no, he can't. He cannot. And as a left back or even as the center back, he just can't do it.
I agree with you on that. I think you're right. He has separated himself from Dyer and Sanchez. What I will say the World Cup really highlighted is still the deficiencies on the ball. And it's just the same part of the problem with it, like in that regard, as a Dyer, as a Sanchez, it's still on the ball, still not progressively good enough. Look, I think the fact that he's changed from left back to left side centre back should tell us everything we really need to know. The fact that he's had to change positions and everything else. But anyway, that's enough on Ben Davies. Don't want to spend all night speaking on Ben Davies. He's not worth the breath, to be honest with you. But Michael, let's talk about Paratici. What do you think of everything that's going on around him now? And what do you make of the job he's done at Tottenham so far?
Yeah, like in terms of the whole Juventus thing, it's... I think that there will be twists and turns in that whole case. It's never as simple as you are either guilty or not guilty in this type of a situation, right? When so many parties are involved, and it goes to me that people seem to only see the 0 and the 1 and nothing in between, right? And I think that, listen, I personally think that pretty much no club in football is like clean in terms of those type of situations, the cooking of the books and lowering on hiring the official payments or whatever, right? it's just company business, and those are some of the biggest companies in the world, right? The
Man
football
City,
clubs,
PSG
right?
got away with cooking books, didn't they? Inflating
Yeah,
sponsorship.
PSG, City had their problems, right, and then got away with it. Juventus got away with it once. Barca is cooking the fuck out of their books, and I don't know why there is no one on their case.
No books left.
Yeah, there is like whatever, like 20 financial lever that they could pull, right, and they are still pulling it, and spending 80 million on another player, right, and somehow nobody is on their case. And I don't know how to feel about it. The only thing about that whole situation is that I'm afraid that it will take Paratici's mind off of the January window.
Yeah.
And as we all said, it's probably one of the most important windows in our. I don't want to say in our history, but in the recent history, at least, I feel like there is so much to be achieved if this window is like. If we go through this window correctly, we fill the positions that we need, we bring the players that we need, right? We do some smart, shrewd business, and I am afraid that it will lower the quality of this window because Paratici will have that whole Juventus thing on his mind.
You're probably right. You're probably right. He's probably well distracted, but maybe like a true Don, Michael, when cornered, when maybe, everything's coming undone. He realizes, he's cooked the books too much. Everybody's coming after him and he's kind of put in a corner. Maybe that's when he operates at his best. And then he gets us, like we said, a De Vrij and I don't know, a brilliant right wing back where he brings us, some sort of similar type window that he did last year with Kulusevski and Bentancur, maybe out of nowhere. I don't know. I'm kind of with you, though. I think he will be kind of distracted by what's kind of going on, but who knows? Maybe he'll perform his best when kind of cornered.
Yeah, like, listen, I as I said, I'm not really sure how to feel about that whole thing, because there also have been like plenty of situations where certain people were in a similar predicament, and all they got was a fine, and they just fined their ass, said pay like whatever 300,000, 3 million euros, whatever, right? For those people, it's not really that much. Let's be honest, all of them are millionaires. So it's unless he did something like extremely bad, extremely like out of the law, like he broke the law in so many ways, I don't really think that he will be jailed. But I'm not a lawmaker. I don't study law, right? So I'm not really sure, from the law perspective, how he will handle it, right, or how his lawyers will handle it.
Well, I think we're going to know in the next couple of days, Michael. I think it's either tomorrow or Wednesday. The judge decides whether he's going to sign off on the Turin prosecutors case or not. So I think we'll know more in the next couple of days. But what do you think of the job that Paratici has done at Tottenham?
Yeah, that's the topic I think I can relate to more. And, because of course we are watching all of those players, right? At least most of them, because some of them don't really get time to play, right? But listen, I always think it's harsh to judge someone like I think it's harsh to expect from someone to do their job flawlessly. And I think that Paratici is often blamed for some of the signings, but he isn't given credit for the other signings that he made, right? And I think that whatever it is, like 16 or 17 players that he has brought here so far, right, throughout the 3 windows, I think it's kind of like split in half, the good signings and the bad signings, right? So for the good signings, I think Kulusevski, Bentancur, Romero, Bissouma, and I will add Richarlison to that. I think that he will be an important player for us. I know that he necessarily didn't prove it so far in the Premier League, especially, right? But I just have a feeling like when you watch him for Brazil, there is a player there, right? I watched him today against Korea, and he was really good. Like he was like pretty much crucial for Brazil to establish control in that game, right? So yeah, like I think there is a player there. So that's like 5 the quality players that either go straight into
Perisic.
our
Perisic
and Perisic. Sorry, I forgot about Perisic.
Mm.
I know he's old. People have like issues with his defensive side of his game, right? But I think that if you provide like whatever it is, 7 or 8 assists, he has already in our team. We all whine that our wing backs don't provide like offensively, and he does. So he's doing his job right in that regard. So that's like 6 signings that are good. There are probably I mentioned them already. Kulu, Bentan, Kur, Romero, Bissouma, Richarlison, and Perisic. I think those 6 signings are really good, right? And in terms of bad signings, I don't really want to go throughout the names, but I think it's also like around 6 maybe. And there is like another 5 players that don't really get the chance, and they are either shipped out or loaned out or whatever, right? So I think overall his job is he did his job properly, in my opinion. And I subscribe to what you guys say. I want to give this thing a chance. I'm sick and tired of like I'm a fan only for like 3 to 4 years, right? And I'm already sick and tired of blaming managers, blaming whoever else it is, other than like I'm sick and tired of blaming. Basically, I want to believe in something. I want to give him a chance, right? And whether you like the job, sorry, whether you like his job or not, I think that he shipped out a lot of like bad players that were either bad because of their skills or bad for the atmosphere in the dressing room, right? Like Dallas, Sissoko, Aurier, and all those guys, they are out already. We were all whining about them. We are all saying that they are not good enough to play for our team. I know they aren't gone permanently because there are on loans, and we will probably struggle to move them on for a fee. But I still think it's important that they aren't here and they aren't polluting the minds of our players, right?
Yeah.
So that's also something that he has to be given credit for. So overall, I would rate it like 6.5 to 7 out of 10, in my opinion. It's not perfect, right?
Not never is perfect. Not never is.
Yeah,
perfect.
but as I said, it's hard for me. It's harsh to expect someone to do their job 10 out of 10 all the time, right? Especially since he moved countries. England is a completely different, environment, and people blame him for bringing players from Italy, but that's the market that he knows the best, right? Like I know the comparison will sound funny, but if you play Football Manager and you have scouts, you have the list of countries that they are like well recognized in, that they are okay in scouting or whatever, right? He has like Italy completed, perfect knowledge, whatever, right? And England, he's only getting used to it, right? That's why he brought his scouting department. He's bringing scouts from England to allow him to scout, right? So as I said, I want to give this whole thing a chance. Whatever I said counts towards Conte. As I said, I'm not necessarily like the biggest fan of back threes. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of like that style of football, but I think that he has the CV, he has the curriculum vitae or whatever it is, to keep me interested, to give me faith that there is actually something
that it will work
waiting
and that
there,
it,
right?
yeah.
That it will work, especially when he's working with Paratici.
Sure.
And as I said, I never said that I'm either Levy out or Levy in, right? But I think there is a lot of riding on the shoulders of our ownership, right? Because like Paratici and Conte can do whatever they want if they aren't supported by in whichever way, they have to settle on something, whatever it is, right? Because people say like Conte has to have 300 million, maybe not, maybe he needs like 100 or 150 like in the next summer, right? And he will be satisfied with it. He will maybe sign a contract, maybe not, right? But I think there is a lot of like shit riding on the shoulders of our ownership. So as I said, I want to give it a chance. My hopes for this season aren't really that high, but like bring it on. Honestly, I'm having a lot of fun watching World Cup, but I want Tottenham to be back, right?
Big time.
Yeah, big time. Like I miss watching. I miss watching the league in general. I miss watching Premier League, Bundesliga, whatever, right? So it's massive. And quickly, boys, I know I've been rambling on. And
no, work away.
Yeah, about the January window, right? I think that we spoke about it, Jacko. I think that I don't remember if it was on the podcast or one of the fan shows, but what I have a feeling about this January window is that we have a 25-man squad, and to bring someone in, we'll have to move someone out.
Yeah, the cleaning
before
the
yeah, and I think that whoever we move out, we will bring a person to that position, because from what Conte is saying, he likes to have 2 options per position, so that gives you 22 players and 3 backups for whatever, like something weird happens, right? So what I think will happen is that we will move Hill on loan, Spence on loan, and we will try to move on one of the center backs in whichever way we can, right? It's either a loan or a sell, and we will bring 3 players in those positions. And I'm surprised because I haven't seen anything about Malanowski. Is the deal off, right?
Yeah, it's off.
Yeah, it's off. Okay. So yeah, I think that we will maybe try to look for someone else in his position as a Kulu backup, right? I think that we will look at a right wing back, and I think that we will look at a center back. I'm just not sure if it will be a left center back. I have a sneaky feeling we will try to bring a central center back, right? So
yeah, me too. I'm with you, Michael. There needs to be this sort of, in order to bring in players, we need to ship off other players. And we've actually benefited last season from that, let's be honest, by getting rid of a lot of players in January. We actually sort of had a bit more squad cohesion and a bit more squad camaraderie by getting rid of a lot of players. Maybe we might do something similar this January and benefit from it, but I'm totally with you there. And I think we did discuss that on the podcast. And speaking of which, Michael, hopefully we can get you on that, another time again, my friend, and get you on with me and Dave and do a bit of a 3-person sort of kind of discussion similar to this one. Yeah, a bit of a 3-way podcast. But Michael, appreciate you coming on, my friend. And like I said, I think maybe hopefully we get you on for the next one, and we can have a good chat in that scenario.
Always contact me on WhatsApp, and we will sort something out. I'm a bit busy with the uni work, but I think I will find enough time to do a podcast with you boys.
Don't worry, everyone needs the therapy. You'll find time, Michael.
And all I want to say is, like, big up. I miss those chats we have here, because you haven't done the functions for quite a bit of time, and I was so worked up in all the like footballing talk with Tottenham and World Cup that actually I kind of have a sneaky feeling my girlfriend started liking football, because she's coming to me to ask me to watch the games with her, which is surprising.
Wow.
I'm starting to get these questions as well about the game, the rules.
Like she's actually quite versed in the rules part, and I recently I started explaining some tactics to her, like how the 4-3-3 works or whatever, right? And she was actually listening to me, and I'm not sure if it's out of kindness or out of interest, but I have a sticky feeling there is something working up there. And
that's good news, Michael. Very good news, but be very careful. You never know. She might become a Moon Boots fan, and then you might have a bit of a bump in the road in the relationship. But Michael, appreciate you coming on, my man, and we'll talk about maybe which Spurs fans or which Spurs players she falls in love with the more that she looks at
Sonny. She absolutely loves Sonny, of course, right?
Of course she does. But Michael, we'll be catching you, brother. We'll be seeing you soon, my man.
Bye,
See
boys.
you, great conversation, my man. Good convo.
Pleasure. Bye.
See you. Everybody, big up Michael in the chat. It was a really good conversation. Really enjoyed that. Real level-headed guy as well. Yeah. I like that. But look, we are on the last guest of the evening, and tough shit if anybody else comes in after him. It's our last guest. And let's get him on.
Get him in here.
Nico. I was going to come up with something else, but I didn't think of it on time. But it's Nick. How are you keeping, my man?
Big up, lads. Big up to you. Big up to all the guests, too, man. I've been sitting in the background here. I'm in the control room on Missile Watch here, as you can see. This is an experiment going on right now, man. Some security guard.
Looks like you're the one who hacked into Paratici's phone. It looks like you're the one who's listening to the voice recordings.
I have a direct line right in, man. I get all the info. And speaking of which, I'm going to give you my perspective. I'm going to be real quick. I know we all got to go.
No. You got
No. We're going, my man.
We all got to go.
What's the jersey?
That's it. Nippon Ichiban, man. My Samurai Blue, unfortunately, they couldn't pull it off today. This is the new Japanese third kit, man. I had to get it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
You got the green. I like it.
It's a spring cherry blossom motif. The green with the cherries.
Looks like an Arizona. Nice. Looks like an Arizona almost. Kind of
but anyway, look, Nick, what I want you to do is explain your reasoning with the back four question, but also I want to know your thoughts on Paratici.
So my question was, and you actually got around to it, man. I tried to fit too many words into one YouTube text, man. I hate how they restrict me like that. But you got around to it, and it's not so much, I don't expect Conte to change his tactics at all, and I never would, and I don't want him to. But let's say something weird happens, and he just finally gets fed up with both Dyer and Sanchez, and we don't bring anybody in, and he does go to a back four. What does everybody else think? Are they comfortable with Longley or Davies playing on the left? And even, are they? How do they feel about Romero, particularly since we've seen him in a back four in the World Cup? How do they feel about could that sustain us for the rest of the year? My opinion is, okay, we definitely do get more out of our right backs. Our right wing backs then become right backs, and the two doofuses who can't do anything in their own final third actually now have to stay back. And it puts more pressure on Sonny and Kulu to provide from the wings. I don't know. I feel a little bit better that way.
What did you make of when I said it was kind of like when I was trying to make sense of what you were saying, Nick? I kind of was thinking it like it was a bit of a two birds, with one stone scenario where you don't have to play Eric Dyer if you don't want to. You can just play Romero on the right. And then, like you said, maybe you're not asking as much of the wing backs. So maybe Emerson gets a bit of pressure kind of taken off of him. He just gets to be a right back. And then sort of, again, maybe with the left back, he can maybe be a Perisic. It can be a Sessegnon. But like you said, maybe you're sort of taking a bit of pressure off of those fullbacks or off of those wing backs. And you don't have to play Dyer. Maybe a two birds with one stone scenario.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say,
in an armchair general sense, in a football manager way, I mean, it solves a hell of a lot of problems. But Conte is not, Conte plays differently than we do. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. Frankly, I would like to see it because I am dying to see Richarlison play up top with Kane behind him. I think there's many ways that works. I think
before you move on to that, I want to ask you about the back four. Do you think it's a little bit short all across the back four then? Like Romero's not the biggest. If Davies isn't the biggest. If it is Davies, Langley's not exactly a giant either. Emerson, I actually think he's probably one of our best headers of the ball.
Yeah.
Trust me, Doherty will not change at right back. Just trust me on that. And Sessegnon, I'm not sure you're going to see much of an improvement out of him at left back either. Look, we're short and shit in the air anyway, so I suppose it probably actually really doesn't matter.
You know what, man? What you're talking about is exactly why the question popped into my head. Because I am dying to see Richie up top with Kane behind him. I think there's a lot of ways it does work. I think Kane can get forward that way. Kulu likes to drift inside and start providing sometimes and hold up the ball. But the question is, do you feel comfortable enough? Is it the devil, stick with the devil with the five in the back, for the devil you don't know with the back? Is that back four going to be solid enough back there? I just don't know. I was interested to see what everybody else thought.
I think with the two centre backs, if it's Langley and Romero, I think we'd have no problem progressing the ball. I think we'd be good defensively. It does mean Romero and Langley would have to play a bit more of a disciplined role. They won't be able to start running out with the ball like Romero likes to do and stuff like that. Look, I would love to get to a back four at some stage after Conte's gone. My only fear is that, look, Romero, Sanchez, they're going to have to come in at some point. Dyer, Sanchez, they're going to come in there at some point. And it's... if we had better fullbacks either side, I'd be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. The only problem is if we had better fullbacks on either side, we would probably still be playing a back five.
Yeah. I think I take your point on Kane and Richarlison. I think that's something that could definitely work. I think, look, most Spurs fans always kind of knew that Kane, when he reaches them latter years, he would have to drop back a little bit because he will no longer be able to run in behind. Because I know some people might say, running in behind is easy, but it's not. Like you have to, every time a player gets that ball on that pitch, you have to constantly position yourself up front to receive the ball, to make them runs in behind. And 9 times out of 10, you don't actually get that ball in behind. So you have to keep coming back on side, keep positioning yourself. And it's very, very tiring work to do. Same as being up there looking to hold up the ball at the time. And I just think, as well, Nick, if we want to get back to pressing other people's back four, Richarlison, Son, Kulu is the way to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Kane has that hunger or wants to even risk himself getting injured, making them runs and then pressures and stuff like that anymore.
You know, he takes such a battering playing central and holding up the ball anyway right now. And like you said, you know, most people realize that he's either going to have to drop back, or the other option is, as he gets older, he's got to play only up top, which removes his threat, you know, his passing ability and his ability to make things take over. So, you know, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. You know, this is a question I think we're going to bring up more. But real quick, man, just my impression of what's going on with Paratici. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible.
Has the Don been cornered, Nick? Have they finally caught up to the cooking of the books?
I'll put it this way.
You're in no rush. Take your time, my man.
Yeah, well, I actually got to make moves too myself in a minute. You know, and a security guard's going to come through here at any minute. Luckily, he's going to think I'm on some kind of a company video call. You know, but I can only hold that off too long. But listen, so the year is 1989. A young man, live like myself, who spends most of his time living on a skateboard, decides one Saturday to go with the friend he's known for a long time to go skate in the next town over with 8 other kids the friend knows he's never met before, right? I go in, skate a little bit with these guys, then we all go into a sporting goods store full of skateboards. We're all doing our thing. All of a sudden, I hear whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Door blows wide open. Somebody slaps a skateboard deck on my chest. Everybody exits the building. I'm like looking around like a doofus. I run out the building, chasing after everybody. We all meet up behind another building and throw all the gear. I end up skating 5 miles back to my house. 2 hours later, down my driveway comes New Canaan Police Department, right? So they're like, guess what? We got your name from somebody. We got your address from somebody. You got to come back to the police station next town over and answer some questions. Apparently, according to them, I stole 8 skateboard decks, 5 shirts, 2 pairs of shoes, and a handful of skateboard wheels. They're telling me this. I look at my mother, look at him. He's like, all right, get the hell out of here. Obviously, that didn't happen. This is what's going on. You see where I'm going here right now. If it looks like a stitch up, if it smells like a stitch up, it's a stitch up. The whole board resigns, and then all of a sudden, you know, guess what? It's all Paratici. This guy Paratici, he screwed everything up, man.
Sounds like you stole the TV, the projector TVs with you, Nick, basically. You just put everything with you that you could. You took the cashier, took the cashier person.
Listen, man, we were wearing some big ass baggy jeans back then, but they could only hold so much, man.
Yeah,
you know?
and also in your case as well as Paratici's case, you can only be accused of so much. It's like, listen, I'm only one guy here. I mean, it's almost flattering that they think he could be responsible for all of that, you know, at once, you know, all those, you know, sort of things. It was flattering of them to accuse you of, you know, being able to carry all of those things at once. Impressive, I must say. I think Paratici's in the same situation. You're right. He's in the exact same situation.
I think he is, man. I think he is. And as much of a distraction as what's going on may be, you know, it could be, you know, a self-prophecy. Maybe he had an inkling. He's already gone through the rumors of an indictment before. He's brought in a handful of senior, very mature people to be his lieutenants. We've seen them, and he just embedded the last few in about 2 months ago.
That's right.
I have a feeling that these people have a roster of who they're looking at. And who they're trying to, it's going to be Paratici style. There's going to be 10 people for every position. Doesn't matter whether it's January or not.
Yeah.
You know? These people know who their targets are. So if he's got to deal with a court situation, I have faith that his staff is going to handle his business for him.
I feel bad for those people on the wiretaps then, Nick, because once it reaches the January window and he's looking at 10 people at once for each position, I mean, anybody on those wiretaps is going to be like, I can't take this anymore. This guy's looking at 30 right wing backs at once here. And he's throwing people 1,000 different directions. They probably won't be happy to be on those wiretaps.
What I will say as well is he was very quick to get out of there. So how do we know he hasn't looked at what's gone on and said, don't want to be a part of this, I'm out. Because the rest all stayed on until they were caught, and then they resigned. So, you know, for all we know, it could be they're trying to blame Paratici because he knew what was going on and he wanted out. Look, we'll wait and see. But Nick, what do you think of the job that Paratici has done so far at Tottenham? He's had 3 transfer windows. Do you see an improvement?
Not only in just the quality of the squad, but the cohesion of the squad. We saw it going downhill after the Champions League final. Let's admit it.
Yeah.
That's when, you know, it started a little bit before then, but that next season, the Eriksen issues, him being toxic with Mourinho, and then the list of the clown car full of jokers that we had to get out of there. Just that alone, in my opinion, gives him a 7 right there. I'm not counting, just even if they don't go permanently, just the way to dislodge the Ndombele situation. I mean, that was a nightmare situation for any club at the wages that he was put on. The fact that we went through that situation and he's still getting Daniel Levy to fork out money for more players, because normally just dealing with that situation would be like Daniel Levy having colon cancer. You know what? He would never sit down again normally. But this guy is coaxing money out of him still. So just that gives him a 7 out of my opinion. And then you bring in Kulu, Romero, Bentancur, man. So I'm absolutely happy with him. And if for some reason that he leaves, I don't think he's going to leave. I don't think that this situation is going to cause him to have to leave his job. I think it's going to be a major distraction for a while, but I don't think this is going to cause him to leave his job. But if somehow he does leave, I think he has set up a template for how things are supposed to go over the next couple of years that Conte has bought into. Not only that, Levy has bought into. You know, this is the plan for the next couple of seasons for Tottenham Hotspur.
And we were also worried at one stage about, you know, Nick, you and I, you know, we get to have our chats every once in a while, and you and I were worried about Dave's blood pressure. And Paratici has definitely made Dave's blood pressure a whole lot easier by getting rid of those Ndombeles, the Winkses as well. I mean, look at it, Dave. He just looks like, you know, he's got a smile on his face and everything. I mean, that's a 7 alone just for making Dave's blood pressure go down at least.
Absolutely. Listen, Golden Cock, touche, my man, touche. The man is a maestro with the verbiage.
I love it. But you know what? Just on the Paratici as well, guys, I do think that he's probably, look, whether I agree with the tension that's put on him compared to Steve Hitchen, do I think it's right? Completely not. But what I will say is I do think it's kind of woken fans up a bit on that person in that position, regardless who it is. It's important. And it's important that they get their job right. It's also important that our scouting, other things that maybe we may not have worried about before, that the scouting department is in a good position, correct? That we're actively looking at underage teams around Europe, trying to pull the best players out of there and bring them into our academy and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's definitely highlighted, you know, how important all that other stuff is to be able to get this club going in the right direction and pulling in the right direction, which I think is a very good thing as well, because before, a lot of it would have been overlooked. And the reason why I say that is go back to Steve Hitchen. Anytime Steve Hitchens mentioned was named, doesn't matter, Daniel Levy. But now we see there is importance to what that person does. There is importance to the scouting network. There is importance in the youth development. There is importance of if a player hasn't worked out, he's here 2 years, he hasn't put it good. Stop going, oh, there's a player in there. Or what if we change him? So for instance, he's a striker. But what if we play him left wing back? I think he can play there. Guess what? Don't care what you think. He's not a left wing back. He's a striker. He's shit. Get him out the door. And we just have to start being ruthless with all this shit. We can't sit here. Football is not a friendly game. There's too much money involved in it now as well. We can't sit here and give Steve Hitchen 3-4 years in a row. Give some of the players that we've given the lengths of chances they have. Some of the youth players that are hanging around that are just never going to get a game, you know, and they're not getting out on loan, this, that, and the other. So I think everything that's gone on with Paratici has really opened everyone's eyes up to how much more that is involved to make this club go perfect.
I agree 100%, man. He is now the figurehead of how Tottenham does business. Where, as before, obviously it was Levy. as far as Tottenham does business. The figurehead for the club was always the manager, at least for the last decade and a half, going back to Redknapp, and then obviously before that. But Paratici has brought it back to taking the responsibility off of a very tainted Daniel Levy's reputation in the business world, and providing a vision forward. Because last 2 seasons, everybody said, where are we going? Even under Mourinho, where is this club going? So kudos to Paratici. Long may he stay, as far as I can say.
I think it's important in terms of Antonio Conte as well, because if he does go, if there is a fallout over this and he has to get sacked or whatever else, does Conte stick around knowing he doesn't have a friend in that position? Not a friend, but a voice that he knows will represent his voice the way he wants it represented, rather than a voice that he's given stuff to, but he doesn't know what's going on, what's being translated. And does he trust that person? Because a manager does have to have a good relationship and trust with Fabio Paratici, who's in that position now, for it to work. Because Fabio Paratici is bringing in players for a certain manager to work with. And it's like every manager that comes in will always want 1 or 2 players of his own so that he can implement his philosophy, his style of play, and it makes it that easier. So it's important that they also have a good relationship. So I think it is important that we keep Paratici for Conte to stay here and sign a new contract. Because I can tell you now, if something happens with Paratici and he's gone, Conte will not sign a new contract because he does not trust Daniel Levy.
Man, and I don't want to get into the Conte contract thing just at the moment because we could talk on and on of that. I have a little bit of a differing opinion than most people on it. However, if Conte were to leave, it's going to be a shaky situation. If Paratici were to leave, it's going to be a shaky situation as far as what Conte's future is. But I do not see him leaving in the summer regardless. I think it's going to be at least another season. I think by all indications, he likes to be very cagey with how he talks about his future, but all indications say that he's trying to build something with this club. So I would say if Paratici goes to jail for some reason, Conte stays through the summer. They try to get somebody in. They try to build off of the lieutenants that he's already brought in, and Conte sees how it works. That's just my guess. I don't see Conte walking like that. Conte only walks if the board pisses him off. It's every single time. That's what makes him leave.
Yeah. But but Paratici is there sort of, to help Conte maybe not have such a misfit or rage, in certain moments, and to help him maybe understand what's right. He's there in case Daniel Levy has a bit of a mare in a situation. Paratici's there to put his arm around Conte's shoulders and say, listen, he didn't mean it that way. He promised us 30 million. He just, he didn't mean it in installments, all that stuff. And if Paratici's there, it is going to be less of that sort of, what is it, like that mediator between kind of the two. I think it's almost like Paratici speaks Conte's language, but he also speaks Levy's language, I think, Paratici. And so there's that sort of thing.
That's why he's a hard man. He's going to be a hard man to replace, man, if we do. After you hit the nail on the head right there.
Eric Dyer would be jealous of those language skills of
Eric Dyer would be delighted. Eric, it means he's staying around longer. He'd be absolutely over the moon. Literally.
Well, Nick, anything else you wanted to chat about, my friend? Anything that, maybe been on your mind that in that control room?
That's about it, man. I'm very sorry to see Japan and the South Korean Republic exit out today. But, Richie, the man.
What a goal by Rich.
What a phenomenal goal, and what a World Cup he's having so far. I can't wait to see it. I think England is going to do something over France. I think Kyle Walker does have a point to prove. For all your history buffs out there, if there are any, it's going to be like Agincourt all over again. It's thousands of dead French on the field.
Well, I think it's perfect for Eric Dyer. He always looks like he's on the beaches of Normandy. So I think, I'd probably fit right in that game, to be honest with you, Nick.
Yeah. You're probably right. But I just pray we don't see him on the pitch.
I pray you do. I really do.
I'm going to leave it with that. I'm going to leave it with that, man. I'm going to leave it with that.
Well, Nick, we will be doing a watch-along. Well, I can't speak for Jack, but I'll be doing a watch-along for that game. Feel free to join us.
All right. I will be there with you.
Good man.
All right, catch you.
Good man.
We'll be seeing you for that.
Better let you get back to controlling the world, letting people know where Santa Claus is and investigating Paratici in your control room. I'm going to end off, my man.
All right, man. Love you guys.
Gotcha,
See
brother.
you, Nick. Love you too,
See you,
man.
Nick.
Pick yourself
Come on,
up.
you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
In Paratici, we trust.
In Paratici, we
Tell
trust.
them hello for us.
Can't
Say
say
hello
we
for us.
Big up, Nick. We'll see you again soon, my man. Another really good conversation, Jacko. There, I really enjoyed that. Do you know what? I do love Nick's points. I do love.
I told
when he
Nick to
pops
bring it
out.
home for us, Dave. I told him to bring it home for us. I
Yeah.
told him, to be the closer, and I think Michael, has done the closer role before, and Nick has done it expertly here. He brought it home for us.
No, I love Nico's points. I even love when he comes on at halftime because A, he gives me a bit of a breather, but B, he makes me think about things a little bit differently as well. So absolutely love it. But look, guys, I want to say to you guys out there, it's been absolutely fantastic to be back in the hot seat again, speaking to you guys all night long as well. Really enjoyed it. Had a good time tonight. Also seeing so many pop in and out of the chat. Everyone's saying they're happy to see us back. So look, let's get this band back together. Let's get the practice in, make sure we're all in the same tune, and then 26 is where it really all kicks off. But there's going to be plenty coming from myself and Jacko. Do not worry. We're back in the hot seats now, like I said. But Jack, before we go, man, anything you want to say to people out there? And also,
Muhammad Kudus, everybody check out Muhammad Kudus' scout report. I think I actually feel pretty confident with my assessment of him. I didn't know too much about him, but I feel like maybe he is that alternative to Kulusevski that Spurs are taking a look at. And maybe instead of Malinovsky, they're looking at Muhammad Kudus. And so I did a scout report on him, did a scout report on Weston McKennie, kind of sort of explain that I think Weston McKennie's amazing, but does he really fit exactly what we're looking for in midfield? Because I think we got to be a bit pickier than maybe some might realize for that position. So it's all that kind of stuff. And then if you don't want to talk about Spurs, I have my World Cup reaction video where I reacted to my terrible picks from the World Cup predictions video. And so I kind of tried to recover and made a sort of an explanation for myself, and then also did a new sort of kind of clean slate on the knockout rounds and see if I do better this time. And so far I'm 1 for 1, or 2 for 2, actually 2 for 2 with Brazil and Croatia today.
Love it. Everybody do get over there, check it out. Mohamed Kudus, a lot of people talking about this guy, so check out, see what Jacko's thoughts are on this guy. He hasn't been too far wrong with the player profiles that he has done, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves. I think the biggest claim to fame is Kavicha. Absolutely. But guys, do get over there and check it out. Now, guys, before we end off, what I do want to say is we want to get more people involved and everything else. There's plenty of ways you can do this. Simply email us. The email is in the description below, along with all of our socials. We want you guys to put in what you want us to talk about. So if there's any talking points you want us to discuss, we've plenty of shows during the week to be able to make that happen. So please get them in. Any questions, or even for the likes of Twitter reacts and all that stuff after games, if there's anything funny or anything you want us to react to, feel free to tag us in it, send it to us, because we just want you guys to help us along the way. We want to know what you want so that we can deliver. So please get everything into us. Get your thoughts, your ideas, questions, talking points. It doesn't matter what it is. Get them in, because we want to try and keep you guys involved as much as we can. And we're always looking for ways to improve. And when I look around, listen to podcasts, YouTube channels, etc., the best ones that are where actually fans get themselves involved. They send in their questions, their talking points, always leads to good conversation, bit of banter, a good laugh. So please, guys, get them into us. Anything you want to say on that, Jack? Do you want to expand on it or anything?
No, I think, we run the debate shows, as you know, when we're really on the regular schedule. We're running debate shows 2 times a week. We're running the fan shows, and we definitely would love to have, I think people feel like, we're talking about maybe what Spurs fans should be talking about each week. But if you feel like we're missing out on something, or maybe we talk about something too much, or maybe something isn't given enough light, whatever it may be, I think that's a great way to get involved, especially if you think that it isn't maybe the easiest to do it through the chat. Maybe it's not the easiest to do it through the comments. Feel free to text us or feel free to email us. I think that's a great way, because then if you feel like there is some sort of Spurs conversation of some kind that maybe just isn't being had, I know we'd be happy to give it some good attention, because we do like to sort of put in our efforts and put in our sort of research into whatever it may be that we want to focus on, whether it be the defense, whether it be the midfield, Conte's tactics, Daniel Levy, etc. We do put our hearts into it, and we do try to get the best conversation out of it wherever we may lie on sort of the issue or the opinions of it. And so if you feel like we're missing something, definitely, like David has just expertly said there, or brilliantly said, just email us and get in contact with us. It's a great way to get involved.
And as well, even if you see funny pictures around like this, Paratici, the Wolf of White Hart Lane, feel free to tag me in them, send them to me. I appreciate a good picture. I appreciate a good laugh and a good joke. So, guys, please keep getting your Spurs-related ideas into us. But, guys, we are going to absolutely end off there. It's been a belter. I'm delighted to be back. Look, apologies with the lack of content recently. We just don't want to be putting stuff out there that's not really there, or stuff like that. Look, maybe I'll hold my hands up. Could have done a bit more on the Paratici team to keep people involved and updating and stuff like that. I'll hold my hands up there. But look, we're back now. That's all you need to know. Good night. Have a good one. In Conte we trust. In Paratici we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
We will be seeing you. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.